Obsessed with the afterlife. Oh, what a terrible day that was. He realized he wasted all his time thinking by, and he'd been left behind. And as the clock ticked tock, his heart just stopped, and everything he had was fun. And we know not what we can. You hear them call when we ever make it through. As they watch us fall from the ground. No one will save you now. We can know it'll go away. We'll not be victims. There'll be no victims on the street. Can only live or live and free. And as the rise of it, when we fall, we will fall together. No one will catch us, I will catch ourselves. And when we run, we will run forever. No one will understand what we meant. The beaten and the bruised, forsaken the abused. Oh, what a glorious day we'll have, rising up and claiming all our dues. Day will come, as sure as ever setting sun. All of those that self-impose will find themselves so indisposed, and we know not what we do. You hear that call? Will we ever make it through? As they watch us fall to the ground. No one will save you now. We can't on and up the way. We'll not be victims. There'll be no victims of the street. Can only live and be free. Then up will rise on me. When we fall, we will fall together. No one will catch us, I will catch ourselves. And when we will run forever. No one will understand what we meant. Now is the light on in the west end. You need to tell us where you're sitting, waiting, watching, running, everything and one of us is true. Now tell me what we're all supposed to do. They're coming after all of us with everything they've got. With the fury of a soldier who will answer to his God. So how will we fight? All we have is logic and love on our side. When we fall, we will fall together. No one will catch us, I will catch ourselves. And when we will run forever. No one will understand what we meant. I will never defend the man who make commands within the enemy's friends. I will never pretend. forced to see we were equals in the night. Looking down between the trees of the town we knew we had to leave. For what it's worth, we will walk the earth till we find the things we see. And the king said, I believe I'm a non-believer now. I was a leader, but I had to lead them all. No one will ever know the things I held inside, so we let them go. Oh my God, oh my God, yes, oh my God. I will never defend a man who makes amends with any enemy's friends. I will never pretend. I will never bow down to another man, even when everyone's saying I'll sin. I will never repent. They will not protect us. We will fall. They will not defend us. We'll be left behind. We'll be left behind. I never give a damn where the stories end, or even how it all began. And the one word that I seek is one that I can tell myself. And it's a long and winding road, but if you reap the seeds you sow, you see you're really not alone. I will never defend the man who makes amends with any enemy's friends. I will never pretend. I will never bow down to another man, even when everyone's saying I'll sin. I will never repent.
Welcome everybody to another night of your VCS playoffs. EVOS took the hard road to get here. They took 5 games to close it out against Team Secret, but close it out they did. And they're now stepping up to the second step of that gauntlet. Team Flash standing in the way. Yulwei, break it down for us. What do you expect out of this best of 5?
Welcome. So, can you believe it, every day? This is actually the second to last series we will see this split. We are almost done. This is, it's unbelievable for me, but let's enjoy it while it lasts. Also, for everyone celebrating, I wish you a very good Easter, of course. And for anyone not celebrating, just have a pleasant day and stay tuned for the games, because they will be very, very interesting once again.
Yeah, I would wish everyone a happy Sunday, but with coronavirus, what the hell is the difference between Sunday and any other day?
Fair enough.
For those of us that are laid off, of course, essential workers, my heart goes out to you. But let's focus in on what people are here for, which of course is Team EVOS taking on Team Flash. I think we have to be realistic. Despite the heroic performance in the quarterfinals, Team Flash still has to be the favorite in this one.
Yeah. So gauntlet system is always strange, right?
Yeah.
For everyone not used to the gauntlet system, it's always hard to assess the power of the team coming in and waiting or laying in wait for the first victor, of course. So we just saw EVOS win a very impressive series, back and forth with a lot of fighting. And we haven't seen Flash, so you're inclined to be a little bit EVOS favorite here, just because we have seen them actually playing on this patch and in this week as well. But you have to remember, Flash earned their spot, and they were clearly the second best team. If you look at all the stats, if you look at win ratio, if you look at the series actually won, they are 2 ahead of place 3 and 4, so pretty comfortably in the lead there. So
Putting
they should come in here as the playoffs. Yeah, that's a big one as well.
Huge notch in the belt.
Yeah, so I think they have to come in as the favorites here, but EVOS is by no means completely without chance. They have shown us very good team fighting. Their solo laners, the 2 players we were very concerned for in the quarterfinals, they both stepped up, and we could even see all 3 solo lanes stepped up, because TH came in the last game and also played a great game. So I think EVOS is looking at potentially the strongest configuration of this team they've ever hit, at least like in this split. And that's a very good time to peak, of course, in playoffs. While Flash was on a little bit of a downturn in the last few weeks, which means who knows what their actual level is coming into playoffs. They've seen this best of 5 between EVOS and Team Secret, of course. They can adapt, but honestly, EVOS has only played 13 unique champs, so it's actually not that. They didn't even give away many strategies. They played the same style all 5 games, especially in jungle. 4 of the 5 games on Rek'Sai, and 1 loss was on Sejuani, so all the wins on Rek'Sai as well. Well, that's actually not true, but almost all games on Rek'Sai is what my point still stands. And MF in the bot lane also 4 or 5 games on MF. So 2 of the most important champs for 2 of the most important players on EVOS were very obvious, and I want to see Flash attacks them.
So I think one of the interesting things there, particularly when you mention that MF pick, is that while Team EVOS, they did the same thing for themselves in most of those games. What I was really impressed by was the amount of counter-stratting that came in. Yeah, what EVOS picked for themselves was fairly simple, but we saw them come in with a very obvious game plan of what to do against Team Secret. They put Celebrity against the wall and choked him to death in 4 of those 5 games. It was only in Game 5, when Celebrity was actually allowed to play a champion, that we would have said he was comfortable on previously. He had a good performance on a Kalista in Game 4, but we didn't expect that. It wasn't really a Celebrity-style champion. The EVOS had a very clear plan. However, up against Flash, I don't think it's as easy to counter-strat them.
Indeed. Yeah, that's what I wanted to comment as well. So it's... for Team Secret, they prepared a very, very special approach to the draft. You don't really see ADC pinch too much, because most ADCs are comfortable with tier 2 ADCs like Kalista. Kalista is not even tier 2 ADC.
She's tier 1 now.
But all the tier 2 ADCs as well. Celebrity showed us a very good season, but there was always the little question mark, is it only because of the meta gems? And EVOS kind of showed us that it might be the case, even though in the one game he actually played Kalista, he looked great. And we all wondered, where was Kalista all the time before? So, very good preparation for EVOS. But is that possible into Flash? I looked at the champion pools, and it doesn't seem possible to me, because all the Flash players actually have very deep pools. They all go on to 10 and more champs. Bot lane, even Slater has played almost every ADC that is even remotely in meta. So I don't see a way you can attack Flash or like pinch one specific role. I think you have to go meta draft. And then there's the question, can Flash actually adapt something? And can Flash find maybe the mid lane counter? Because EVOS has played some very obvious mid lane style. They've played Azir a lot, Corki, and Orianna. Those were the 3 champs played by Parquet. In the quarterfinal, Azir 3 times, so he was for sure the number 1 pick for him. If you ban Azir, Corki, Orianna, or maybe 2 of the 3, maybe you can actually attack Park in the mid lane, who had an outstanding performance in quarterfinals. I can't stress this enough. He was our weak point for EVOS, and he was anything but that. He was actually the serious MVP.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. He looked absolutely fantastic. But there is another matchup I think we need to touch on. And that is the fact that the Dark Lord Yijin, who me and you have backed as the best jungler of the VCS this split, despite the fact that obviously he does not play for Garm, we both believe that Yijin truly is the Sauron, the glowing eye looking out over the entirety of the VCS, and the plucky challenger of Sorn, who had a great series in the quarterfinals. Maybe not series MVP, but they would not have won without him.
Yeah.
Coming into his kingdom, he has to push into Mordor and take it to Yijin. It's going to be really important,
absolutely,
that matchup.
Yes. And these 2 junglers are my 2 favorite junglers to watch in VCS. Shout out, of course, also to Levi. He's great to watch as well. But I really like Yijin and Sorn. And Sorn is kind of my favorite jungler, but Yijin, I think, is the best jungler. So it's a very interesting matchup for me to watch as well. So far, when they played each other it has been very jungle focused. So whoever ran away with the early game usually came out on top. And EVOS played 3-3. So they they were super close in the season as well. The same score that Team Secret and EVOS had. So if you look at game score, should be very even. But Yijin, Yijin is more able than, for example, the NK to actually stand up to Zorn when it comes to pathing, when it comes to out pressuring him, and Zorn will not have that easy the time to dominate the jungle matchup today. Honestly, I still think if Zorn goes, if they go full on farming and pathing style, I think Zorn is slightly better than Yijin.
Yep, I would agree.
I think that Yijin is a little bit more diverse and can play a few more champions that can actually facilitate his team. He also has some pocket picks, like the Nidalee, of course, one of his favorite champs. He's very good at that as well. Maybe he brings out the jungle Maokai again. Think back to that legendary game. One of his favorites.
I think one of the big differentiators here is, I agree with you. If you're looking at it sort of from a very jungler v jungler moment, in terms of who's going to be able to out farm, out path, yeah, maybe we give a little bit of an edge to Zorn. It's very close. But I think one of the big things in terms of impact is that Team Flash, one of their biggest weaknesses has actually been the 5v5. Junglers, typically, particularly a Zorn-style jungler, doesn't have as much impact in the 5v5 when he's playing something like the Rek'Sai. Once it's past that 20 minutes, that Rek'Sai in the 5v5, Zorn makes it look pretty damn pretty, but there's only so much a Rek'Sai can do. While Yijin, yeah, he's not doing as much in the 5v5 as well, but that's not what Flash want to play towards. And I think Flash will try and avoid that. Because we often talk about the fact that it's funny because we often say that teams are more than the sum of their parts. Flash is the opposite. Flash is less than the sum of their parts. They have 5 fantastic players, but then team fights happen and things look a bit weird. They often win. They are our second place team for a reason. They are fantastic. But in team fights, things look a bit dodgy. So I think Yijin is very valuable in getting his solo lanes ahead, while Zorn can do the same, but I don't think it's as poignant.
Yeah. So I want to go back to the team fighting point, because of course I agree with that. I think EVOS is the better team fighting team on the day. Or if you look at both teams here, especially when they are even to Flash, which will not be easy because Flash has outstanding early game stats. They are a very strong early game team. But Flash has also shown us some glimpses of very, very strong team play. I think it was in week 8 where I got super excited for Flash and was actually on the hype train for a super close final, where they actually were very clean. They had a strong early game. They pressured all the lanes and just very easily. So I thought, okay, if this is actually the level Flash will be at in finals, they can challenge GAM. But then week 9 happened. And week 9 was a big disappointment for Flash, in my opinion. Especially, of course, the last series against Team Secret, where they got ahead in early game, especially in game 1. They got the 4-0, and then they opted into team fight from 2-3k gold ahead in the Rift Hall pit and got aced 5-0. The game was lost afterwards. That's something that can't happen again. I think Flash needs to work on their team fighting, or had to work on team. Now it's too late, of course, but hopefully they worked on their team fighting in the past week, and maybe on the team coordination again. We have heard whispers of Stark stepping in, which would be very surprising, of course, because Yoshino has had a very good season.
It doesn't make sense to me. We have heard from sources within the Flash lineup, so this isn't baseless, that apparently Stark might be playing today, despite
he has not played a single game.
He has not stepped on. In fact, from the same sources, we've heard that he wasn't even a player. He was a coach. He was an assistant coach. But supposedly he was registered as a player, but apparently his role was an assistant coach. But there's been talk that he might be playing today. See, I don't necessarily mind bringing in a strong voice, right? I actually think that makes a lot of sense. I don't like subbing Yoshino out.
Yeah.
And that's not just my Yoshino bias. Everyone that watches this stream knows I love that man. But even putting my bias aside, Yoshino is really important to this team. And I think if you bring Stark in, who should lose lane, just because he's not played for an entire split, you would think he's going to be a worse laner than But1 or Hero.
Yeah.
It completely changes the dynamic of Flash, and not in a way that I like.
Yeah, I agree. Especially because if you look at lane to lane, all the other lanes are super even. Parky against Carty. If you look at the over the whole of the course of the whole season, okay, Carty favored, but Parky had outstanding quarterfinals, so it should be fairly even. Bot lane is super even. Slater against Divkid, it's B against CBL, so this should be a very exciting lane, but pretty even. And jungle is also the two best junglers potentially of this split.
I would think pretty handily
against
each other, personally.
So the only big difference is in top lane. And Yoshino, when he last met EVOS, just wiped the floor with TH. He got solo kill after solo kill. He played set into mostly the Vladimir and just destroyed him in lane. So I think Yoshino is actually the strongest point for Flash in this matchup specifically, where they might be able to play through top lane and crack EVOS through top lane, because all the other lanes might be very even. So I'm questioning this move.
Just want to cut in. Apparently, it is now confirmed that Stark is playing game 1. Not just rumors anymore. It is apparently now confirmed. I don't like it. It's not that I
guess let me change my prediction to 3-2 then.
Yeah, I mean, I realistically think that is that it just doesn't make a lot. Now Yoshino again, this is something you should join our Discord, by the way. Down below the stream, there is a link to the VCS English Discord. We do actually have Yoshino in the Discord, and every now and then he comes in and drops some leaks. He's kind of spoken and talking about himself. He is an introvert, right? He said that. He said that he's not particularly dominant on the comms. So just purely on that point, it makes sense to drop him for Stark, right? If Stark is a strong voice. But
yeah, this
is
should
what we're getting
improve
at.
Team fighting.
Well, it might improve teamfight coordination, but if you're dropping 2k gold because Yoshino can't get ahead in lane because he's not playing...
That's a fair point, yeah.
Like, you've got to do a bit of a cost-benefit analysis of, okay, cool, we have a better voice, but wouldn't it be better just to have a top laner that's half an item ahead?
Yeah. That's a fair point. We also have to think back to Stark playing against his old team, of course, right? He won this league while on EVOS. He attended MSI 2018 with EVOS, so
yeah, I don't
maybe
I'm not trying to. I definitely don't want to downplay Stark, but he hasn't played for a split.
Yeah, super. That's fair. I just wanted to also give the perspective of maybe they've Stark knowing something about the players. Of course, the team changed a lot, the EVOS team, so it's actually not that. He shouldn't be super familiar with the players, but he still played on the organization, of course. So maybe he has some inside knowledge. Maybe he knows something about drafting and preparation in EVOS that can come in handy for his team. So starting in game 1, I'm actually not too down on Flash. If they just want to see how it goes, it's a 5-game series. You need to warm up. It's your first game in playoffs, so maybe start him in game 1. Let Yoshino sit back and analyze the matchup, analyze the whole game. Maybe let him come in, maybe on red side as well, if you want to go to that, and play a little bit more through top lane. And if Stark actually wins the first game, then it's super hard for EVOS to have a chance in this series, because then Flash still has the trump card of just subbing in Yoshino, potentially the best top laner in the league. Yeah, so EVOS kind of has to win this first game for the series to be close, and Flash can relax a little bit. If they lose the first game, fair enough. They still have 2 more chances to get back, and they still have Yoshino on the bench. So honestly, I think a first game Stark, even though it startles me a little bit, I think it's an okay move to bring in.
We are making the assumption here. We have apparently had it confirmed on the Vietnamese stream that Stark will be playing. But, and correct me if I'm wrong, chat, I am looking, is it confirmed that he's playing top? He could play mid. We've talked about the fact that Carty isn't really a carry player for Flash. He has stepped up in quite a few games. He's definitely not a bad player. But
he's a rookie of the split.
Yeah, rookie of the split, and I think very well deserved. But he isn't really the person that's meant to carry Flash. So, if you're worried about your teamfight coordination, maybe Carty's the one that hits the bench for game 1. Is that better
potentially
or worse, is my question. The one big problem I have with that is I think mid-jungle is so important. And you've had a whole split building your mid-jungle synergy.
Yeah. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Yoshino, if anything, Yoshino is probably going to be sapped out, even though he has played some mid lane games. But yeah, I don't expect this to be Yoshino and Stark in. We have to touch on one last statistic for Yoshino being sapped out, if it's really going to happen here. Yoshino's damage share is actually the highest on the team. And that's very surprising, considering the gold share is higher for Slater. So what this kind of indicates, of course, stats have to be taken with a grain of salt, but if you just look at stats, highest damage share for EVOS by far DivKit, more than 30%. So very teamfight heavy, right? If ADC has the highest damage share, it's probably about teamfighting. While on the other side, the top laner has the highest damage share and is actually quite far ahead of the ADC, 26% to 24%, rounded up, of course, which indicates that there's a lot of skirmishing, a lot of topside focus, and a lot of solo killing in top lane going on. And yeah, is it the correct choice to go away from this style that you have played for a whole season and try to play EVOS style? So I still think if you can actually beat EVOS in EVOS style, then you have a huge advantage. So I don't think it's too bad to try it in game 1. I hope Flash also can recognize, if they actually lose in the EVOS style, that they have to change something and don't try to play Stark all the games and just lose in team fights back to back to back. That would be very disappointing.
I think I definitely agree with you that it makes a lot of sense to me that game 1, you go into Flash's house, you fight them on their terms, because if you beat them, you put yourself in a position where EVOS suddenly has to scramble to figure out what the hell do we do. And like you just put yourself in a massive position, best 5. If you lose, okay, not good. You lose one of your safety nets, but you can just fall back and say, okay, well, we tried to fight them on their turf. Let's make them come onto our turf now, where we've got the boys backing us up. I definitely think that is valid, and it's even more valid for Flash to do it because they've had a week. Right? They've had a week where they would have been looking obviously at Team Secret and EVOS. They didn't know who was going to win. Then they've had 2 days now when they knew it was EVOS. So they're the ones that are coming in with the curveballs ready. EVOS went to game 5 against Team Secret. If they had a pocket pick, only 2 days ago, exactly. If they had a pocket pick, if they had a knuckleball, it was already thrown. They were not leaving anything at home against Team Secret. So Flash should be coming in knowing the limits of EVOS.
Yeah. And to put this strategy in other words, that Flash is going for in this first game, it's the SKT, the old SKT strategy for long-time League viewers. They will recognize this trend that SKT was always going for international events when Korea was still dominating. Give the enemy team their best possible comp and beat them on that. And afterwards, they are demoralized. They have nothing left. You beat them on their bread and butter, and there's nothing left. They can't change anything because that was their best comp. So maybe if Flash wins this first game, especially if they win it convincingly, then I think we might actually look at a 3-0 because EVOS might not have any way. I don't think that's going to happen. I actually think EVOS is favored to win this first game if Stark is in, because I believe EVOS is more teamfight coordination. They have had the whole split to build on these 5 players. I believe they are slightly better in teamfights. Of course,
I don't think it's
one
slightly.
of the 2 junglers can still pop off. So.
Personally, I don't think it's actually slightly. I think EVOS is considerably better at team fights on an even footing. If we go into team fights where both teams are within 1,000 gold of each other, I'm picking EVOS nearly every single time because of their team fight coordination, particularly around Sorn and their bot lane.
Not to mention they actually won team fights against Ocean Soul.
Yeah,
the deciding game. They won back-to-back team fights against Ocean Soul and snatched the game away from Team Secret, who were in the better position to win this game. Absolutely. Ocean Soul, priority on Baron, priority on Elder Dragon, and everything snatched away from them.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about the fact that maybe Team Secret made a mistake leading into the ultimate fight
sure.
with the Baron recall, but we won't go back to that. If you didn't watch the Team Secret EVOS series, right after this one ends, make sure you stick around and watch this one, but right after this ends, go back and watch that because it was an absolute banger of a series. And we are straight into Champion Select here.
There we go.
We'll find out, and it is, in fact, Stark in the top lane. All right.
So, Champion Select is so interesting in the series. So, some points to hit. Of course, we already see the Azir. We talked a little bit about Azir, Parquet. Will Team Flash attack mid lane? Seems like that's their strategy in game 1. Also, first game for EVOS on red side, and the whole players, they played 5 games on blue side. And traditionally, actually, red side was the better side for EVOS in terms of win rate, but also the better side for Flash. So quite surprising the Flash chose to start on blue side in this first game, because of course they had side selection as the higher seeded team.
That said, it somewhat makes sense. If you're going to bring in Stark to play a team fight comp, yes, red side is great to get counter picks, but perhaps you're not playing as much of a lane style, you're playing a comp style, which means you want the first picks. So I think it makes sense, though it is, of course, statistically very interesting.
So, some interesting picks that will shape this draft. First of all, ADC picks. Will we see Aphelios ban? Will we see Senna priority? Both ADCs don't like Senna, so we might actually see series without Senna, interestingly enough.
Please.
Then, next, jungle picks. Open. Super interesting. Will we see the Olaf for Yijin, most played champ over the whole season, and Zorn can counter the Olaf with Trundle. So will we actually see the Trundle-Olaf dynamic, where Zorn can then also come in with the next counter pick for the Trundle, which is Kindred. So super interesting jungle dynamic. And support sadly is not super interesting in this series. Both like to play a little bit of the standard supports. B actually on 17 games for Braum. And Aphelios is open, so Aphelios snap picked for EVOS.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. This is a lot of priority placed on this Syndra, presumably going to Kati. Though it could, of course, go to Slater. We don't fully know, but they have to know that they're giving up Aphelios doing that. And they pick the Misfortune in response. Yeah, okay, fair enough. 2 very strong AD carries. We, as you very astutely pointed out, we didn't think Senna was going to have much of a presence in this series.
Nope.
It just doesn't suit either AD carry, so it's the Aphelios for Misfortune trade. Is Syndra worth giving a Latios away?
That's a good question, especially because Divkid did not get the chance to play a single Aphelios game in the quarterfinals. He was put on MF 4 out of 5. Kalista is banned. Senna is no priority, so he finally gets his Aphelios. And this is already a pretty squishy composition for Flash, so Aphelios in the late game can burst them all down.
Absolutely. And it looks like
this is no surprise.
It's really not. B has, of course, played a lot of that Braum. But let's look at Flash, the team obviously we haven't seen much of, because obviously only 2 days ago we watched EVOS play 5 matches. Well, how do you think they're going to round this comp out? Obviously they need, presumably, a top laner and a jungler. Where do you think we're going?
We have no idea about the champion pool for Stark now, right? So he was a very good Aatrox player before. I believe, Cannon, interesting ban against him. I believe you want to pick a tank for your main voice of the team if he actually comes in as a main voice now. Give him something that is mechanically unchallenging, so something very easy to play where he can concentrate on calling the shots, calling the macro, and leading his team to victory through teamfight coordination, through macro, and so on. So I actually think you put him on Ornn, you put him on Maokai. But it seems like EOS has a different read. They go towards lane bullies instead in terms of bans. So Cannon and Renekton removed. Kind of surprises me a little bit. So we'll have to see. Oh, Olaf also banned for Team Flash. This is by far the most played champ for Yijin. So this is another surprising ban and something Zorn can play, but it's not actually that big of a priority for EVOS and Zorn in particular.
Yeah, that's very interesting for sure. And the lock-in of the Nidalee has come in. So, the carry potential from Zorn.
Oh, Nidalee for
Big
Storm.
damage. Game 1 wants to put the world on his shoulders. Bring out the Cougar. I love it.
So the last time the two teams met, it's a long while ago. Was actually the first match of our of the season and also of round 2, of course. Yijin ran away with game 3 on Nidalee. He hard stomped top lane. He actually camped the top lane over and over again, and got off to like a 5-0 start on Nidalee. So this time around, Zorn wants to try Send at this Nidalee. And Yijin responds with a Lee Sin. That's not super interesting, but and Ornn also. Ooh,
Aurelia. Now that's
so it seems,
interesting.
Yeah, he was actually
Stark.
Yeah, EVOS knew that he didn't want to go for tanks, so they banned 2 of the lane bullies. He goes to Aurelia. Aurelia more volatile than the other lane bullies. You can definitely kill Aurelia with Nidalee Aatrox.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
this is now. This is a very squishy composition for Flash, and not actually as good in team fights as I thought they would go for, considering Stark is in.
It doesn't make a huge amount of sense. And there is the Zilean coming in for EVOS, a pick we did not see. I said that if they had a knuckleball, it would have been thrown against Team Secret, but apparently they still had one up their sleeves as the Chronomaster himself rips himself out of time and into Champion Select.
So much Zilean across the world right now.
He's a strong pick.
People are starting to pick him up more and more. And look at this composition now. Zilean is actually hard counters a lot of what Flash does.
Had a bit of a quality drop. Sorry about that, everyone.
Syndra is not going to be able to burst down Aphelios against Zilean. Aatrox also, if you're actually ahead, you can just put Zilean speed up and ult on Aatrox, and he runs rampant in the back line, and no one can actually deal with him. Syndra can kick him away once, and Lee Sin as well. Okay, so you have two ways or 2 tools to reset fights against Aatrox. But if he comes from a flank and gets Zilean sped up, and maybe even the ultimate, it's very hard to deal with him, especially SMF. So interested to see where Zilean's resources go in the late game. From behind, I think you have to go towards ADC. From ahead, I think you can do very interesting stuff with Aatrox, maybe even with Nidalee, where you just prop them up more and more and let them run into the enemy team while Aphelios stays back, pokes with the ultimate, maybe even follows up with a little bit of Rampage or whatever. Onslaught, right? Onslaught, it's called. So.
That's the Q with the Severum, which is the red gun. I like how many layers deep we have to go. We say Onslaught, which, by the way, is the Q with Severum, which, by the way, is the red gun, which, by the way, is the Healy one. Just Aphelios things, for sure.
First Aphelios of the playoffs, so...
he was banned.
Will he live up to the 200 years?
Ooh, we'll have to find out. EVOS certainly hoping that he is. I think the Zilean pick makes a hell of a lot of sense in so many ways.
I like it.
Parquet presumably should be the weak, despite having a very good showing against Team Secret, should be the weaker mid laner to bang him on the Zilean, who sort of just can handshake pretty much every lane in the world. And as you said, you were very correct, I think. If you're ahead, you put everything on but one. He charges forward, murders everyone. If you're even or perhaps a little bit behind, you put it all on Div Kid. You can kill Aphelios once with this comp. Doing it twice? Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, can you kill it twice? Yeah, that's a big question. Also, Zilean is actually a very good counter into Misfortune in terms of ultimate placement. You just wait for her to ult, and then you double bomb her, and not only does that stop her ult, it also nukes her for like 800-900 damage. So very scary for Slater.
Super fun.
I also want to go to the bot lane. Of course, we have Slater against Divkid. In my opinion, the 2 best ADCs in this region, and the Pentacle Masters. First time they actually played against each other. The very first series of this split. Pentacle for Divkid and then Pentacle for Slater. Absolutely insane. I hope we get multiple Pentacles again. I am so hyped for this matchup in the bot lane.
Absolutely. This is one of the most hyped bot lanes we can hope for, as we do have the 2 junglers on screen at the moment. A little bit of statistics there. Of course, on the left is the Dark Lord Sauron. Yijin reigning over the league. Sorn, can he get that ring to Mount Doom? I'll have to find out. It is very difficult. He actually has the little bit better first blood statistic, but other than that,
Very
pretty
even
goddamn
stats
even.
across the board.
Yeah.
Interesting. Both are ahead in CS on average. Actually, Yijin more than Zorn. Most of them than Zorn. Zorn, especially early on in the season, played more ganking junglers, 9 games in J4, a lot of rec size. So it makes a lot of sense with Yijin's highest win rate champ being Olaf and also most played champ being Olaf. That champ gets off to great CS leads. So makes a lot of sense for Yijin to be at NCS. Zorn also on a solid 7 CS up. That both can't be correct this series, of course. So let's see who of the two can actually dominate the jungle matchup. Has been very back and forth between the two whenever they met. So this might just revolve around jungle performance. Can one of the two have hit a better day and just dominate the jungle? Or will we see back and forth? Will we see games decided in the early game by pathing? Or will we actually get to teamfights phase?
That's a good question, and I'm going to throw it to chat. Please do spam which jungler you think will come out on top. You've got Yijin or Zorn. I'm watching. We don't have any bot to track it, but I'm watching. So I'll tell you what chat thinks. Of course, everyone in Twitch chat is an expert on the game. We have even more statistics before we get in game here. And I mean, I think every statistic here leans to the fact that Team Flash plays more to the early game. First tower percentage is higher. Dragons, I mean, that's pretty damn even. I think the first tower percentage is the most relevant stat on this screen.
Yeah, also average game length, almost 1.5 minutes shorter games for Flash, indicating that they actually stomp some of the games, which they did. So they ran away with the early game more often than not. So very short times, 30 minutes, 32 seconds on average, super short game times. Even EVOS is still in the global average quite short. Kills per game and deaths per game is another interesting one to look at. Team Flash killing more, but also dying significantly more than EVOS, which we might see as again here. First tower, I think, is also pointing towards the fact that Flash is better in the early game. 39% for a team that is on average behind in goals at 15 is not the worst statistic ever. I think EVOS has stabilized a lot in the early games and has also shown us early game domination in the quarterfinals. I think back to game 1 and 2, where they actually just stomped Team Secret.
Only game 1 and 2?
Out of the water.
I mean, maybe game 1 and 2 or even more so, but I think almost every game, EVOS had an absolutely brutal first 15 or so minutes against Team Secret, which was very, very impressive and definitely not what we expected. And that is Team Flash's wheelhouse. We've talked a lot about whether Team Flash will be kicking down EVOS's door and beating them at their own game. But perhaps EVOS will be sneaking into the Flash team house and beating them at their game.
Yeah, possible. I am just so excited. Please let the game start. I want to see Zorn Yeej in action. I want to see Divkid Slater. And also, look at the top lane. Just the lane as much as Yoshino does. Will Yoshino once again be relegated to bench after having a great performance and being our all-pro team top laner? Man, that would be super, super frustrating. Yoshino, I actually want to touch on a little bit of the Yoshino story because he's actually the only person outside of GAM still in contention to defend his title. He, of course, is the current champion of the VCS. He was on GAM.
He didn't play a single
last
game
year.
but
He didn't play, but he's still champion, right? So he has the unique opportunity to win against the team he played on before in the finals if he gets there to defend his title while denying the title defense to Levi, to some of the other players as well. So that is very interesting. I want to see him today. I don't think we'll see Stark 5 games in or 3 games in. If they win 3 games, yeah, fair enough. Maybe they just play Stark.
Yeah, I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah. Right.
So if they win the first game, there's no reason to sub Stark out. But I think as soon as they lose a game, my boy Yoshino will be back in. So
we might actually be looking at some. Maybe. We might actually be looking at something like blue side Stark, red side. This could be a potential strategy here for Flash, I think. Where you go, okay, blue side we can't counterpick, we can't really pick for lane too much, so let's take the player that is better at coordinating our team fights, our late game. Oh, wow.
We just
jump into 2 minutes?
Yep, we are 2 minutes into the game, apparently. Apparently a little bit of a tech issue. Thankfully, no one's dead. We have, of course, had a few issues before where we've missed kills. Stream does seem to be a little bit dodgy, but hopefully everything works itself out. We had a really clean stream for almost all of last night, so I believe in you, VCS production. I believe.
Yeah. Let's look at some of the runes, as we had no chance early on to spot them. Oh, Song with a very interesting rune choice here. It's Conqueror Nidalee. That
is interesting.
Weird. We've seen very much Dark Harvest focused Nidalee play, which makes a lot of sense. A lot of extra burst. You don't really get to use Electrocute on this champion sometimes, where you just go Spear into Q Execute. That's only 2 abilities, so sometimes you cannot hit the electric. Conqueror Nidalee. So she's trying to fight Yijin in 1v1s. This is what I would read from Conqueror Nidalee. Wow, Kati, you need to play that better. He just bombed himself there.
Ooh, someone gets a bit caught out there. Oh dear, he hops over the wall. He took so much damage there. Yijin in full control of the jungle.
Yep. There you go. You might want to stop for like 2 seconds.
Sure,
we actually.
I can do that. 1, 2. There we go.
Nice.
Should be synced now. Lovely, lovely.
So early on, not a whole lot is happening. Yijin with a domination in the jungle will have priority over both Scuttle Crabs if he chooses to go for the top lane Scuttle as well, which why wouldn't he? Oh, okay.
And there is the 1-for-1 in the top lane. Both the top laners getting a kill. I didn't quite catch who actually got the first blood.
Stark got the first
blood, so it is a bit of an advantage for him. Very aggressive play from the substitute. Wow. Wants to show that he is still a professional player. Here we go.
Hello.
Let's get a replay on that one, hopefully.
Of course, Stark is not a bad player. So we are talking a lot about maybe Stark and coming in will hurt Flash in terms of laning phase, but Stark is still a well-known player in the scene. He's one of the most proficient top laners over the course of like the whole VCS history. So it makes a lot of sense that he's still the better top laner compared to But1, who is a very new player still. So let's see how this laning phase evolves. Stark with the priority early on, actually pretty gankable. I want to see Son go up here. Stark still has his flash, unfortunately, but one had to blow his, so maybe force him out, maybe try to set up a freeze for about 1 so you can scale a little bit better.
Yeah, I don't think the freeze will quite be set up yet. That should push out to about a midpoint. And Irelia, of course, very much able to contend with this Aatrox. Now, But1, we have been very critical of him in the past, but against Team Secret, he did look very good. Both of EVOS's top laners did, if we're completely honest. Hero in Game 5 lived up to his name. They were holding out for a hero till the end of the night, and he showed up, but he's not in this game.
They have a luxury problem now, where they have to decide which top laner to use.
Spoiled for choice.
Spoiled for choice indeed. I think... in my opinion, But1 is still the worst laner between the two. I think Hero is a pretty good laner on most of his picks. So I'd say if you go for laning phase, you go for Hero. If you go for set, you also go for Hero, because it seems like he's the better set. That's the sole reason he was subbed in the last game. But But1 might be a little bit better team fighter and a little bit more stable in terms of just overall gameplay. He's not tilting. He's not like the tilty player that Hero is. Hero also gives up a few too many kills sometimes, so I think starting with But1 makes a lot of sense to me, and then maybe sub in Hero later on in the series where maybe But1 got wrecked in lane and you want to like refresh top lane matchups.
Definitely could be a very dynamic top lane, as both teams have two top laners that are both very good. But here comes a potential dive. As Stark goes forward, the Vanguard's edge, but so much tower damage. Kati's here as well. They're just essentially 2-man dive. There is the unleashed power. Stark has to flash away. Oh, good God. It's an ugly, ugly dive, but I don't think But1's going to be able to get out. He actually lands a very good tag there, but that was very well done there by Kati taking the turret aggro to make sure Lee Sin could go in safely. but one. I mean, about everything that could have possibly gone wrong for Flash did go wrong, but 3v1 is a damn 3v1.
Yeah, indeed. He played this as well as he could. I think with Flash, he would have had the chance to get out of there and maybe turn around the play on Stark a little bit more. Sadly, his Flash was blown in the very first engagement. So another kill over to Flash, but they are still in a gold disadvantage because EVOS got a lot of plates in the bot lane.
That is massive.
And literally as well.
Yeah,
literally just use the time to farm. This is Zorn, as he likes to go. And of course, literally scales a little bit better with farm than Lee Sin, maybe. So it makes a lot of sense that Lee Sin goes for the early dive.
I don't think you have to qualify that statement with a maybe.
It's not like literally hard outscales Lee Sin, right? So it's a little bit of a strange assessment to make because Lee Sin is a little more useful in team fights, especially when the Nidalee is even. But Nidalee has a very strong mid game from ahead, so she kind of needs to accelerate. So from behind, Nidalee is just not really a champion. So.
I think one of the big implications that's come out of this is that if Flash decides to opt into the Shelly bargain, which is obviously where you trade first Rift Herald for a couple of tower plates in the bot lane, they hard lose because already 3 tower plates gone. It's an Aphelios. If he has access to those chakrams, it's 10.7. He's not shredding quite as hard, but it's still Aphelios for chakrams.
It's still enough.
It's still a lot. They're potentially going to lose first tower, so I think that actually limits them quite a lot. They can't go for that play. They really have to keep their bot lane in bot lane.
I actually think Shelly Bargain is always a losing play if you have Aphelios on the other team.
Yep.
Especially if the other team realizes they can just stick Aphelios.
Ults come out. Both ults are used in the bot lane, and both summoners from Slade are forced. With a tower this low, we could see Zorn's first emergence.
Zorn's in top lane. There's something.
And yes, Zorn is absolutely in top lane. Stark is dead. Who knows what happened up there? It truly is a mystery. Tituas in chat, please, because. Who knows? It is a mystery, my friends, but Zorn has gotten the kill.
Very successful start, and this is something we see all the Nidalees do here. Very topside focused champion. You almost always want to go for top lane because it's just the champs in top lane are easier to chase. It's the longest lane. You can go for bot lane plays, but most of the time bot lane has more defensive capabilities. Nidalee doesn't really want to deal with all the CC from CBL. Or CBLL, as he's called today. But
not as good as Slade. I wish I could roll my R's because I could have some fun with that, but unfortunately, I do not have a cultured tongue.
Well, that's why Nidalee goes for top lane a lot, and earlier, even though she's scary in 1v1, very easy to kill, especially with the new build where you don't build any HP early on. Just a little bit of sustain, that's not good enough, and Stark falls. Maybe we'll get a replay, maybe not, who knows.
Now, I need you to help me with something, because I'm colorblind, and Sword's jungle item looks green, but is it blue?
No, it's blue.
Okay.
Blue.
I'm colorblind for those particular colors, so I'm very glad that it is actually blue.
It can be very hard to spot, but yeah, it's the blue item. He also goes for more AP afterwards. He has a lot of damage. I want to see the clash of the junglers. I think Zorn wins right now. I have no idea how Conqueror Nidalee plays. I would expect her to try to use Cougar form a lot with shorter cooldowns. So you go Spear into Cougar form and just auto attack with Cougar form. Kati's in vision. This should be. Oh, this is super dangerous for Flash.
This is absolutely dangerous. CBL has gone in with the Flash, but got Gravitomed up. They've got the Dragon, but they're going to trade it for their Nautilus. Can Slater get away? Losing 2 wouldn't be worth it, but that's what's going to happen. He has absolutely nothing, and Div Kid will get it. It was a lot of summoners burned out of the bot laners, but considering they get a couple of kills and they should get the first tower, Flash are getting absolutely wrecked early on.
And Div Kid is so far ahead. He got both kills. He gets the full turret. He already got the 3 Betrayer platings early on. So he should actually be ahead by 2,000 gold or something compared to Slater. Aphelios is a very scary champion right now. And looking at Flash's team composition, we touched on this in draft a little bit. They are so squishy. And they have to face Aphelios with Zillion.
Not quite. Just a bit of zoning.
Zillion. How are you ever going to trade against Zillion Aphelios? It's so hard. Aphelios. Wow, this is already looking like Flash can't teamfight anymore, so they have to construct or come up with different ways to play this game, and it has to revolve around Stark split pushing, which is super funny because this is normally what Yoshino does. So let's see if he can also live up to Yoshino and split push to victory for Flash.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is already not what Flash wants. And the unfortunate thing here is, we go into a pause, very unfortunate, is it's not a collapse out of Stark. So bringing in Yoshino isn't the instant fix if they lose this game.
Yeah, botlane is just straight up winning for EVOS, and botlane is one thing we wanted to focus on, and also one thing to be super excited about, because Slater against Divgid, the two best auto-attacking ADCs. I don't want to throw Celebrity under the bus.
He's not an auto-attacking ADC. He's a good ADC.
The three of them are top three, but Celebrity is kind of a different ADC, so it's definitely the two auto-attacking ADCs today facing off against each other. And Divgid was super impressive in quarterfinals, was also very impressive in the last few series, so I kind of think Divgid had a better season than Slater so far, even though Slater is more of the star player, maybe. I voted for Divgid over Slater as my best ADC, actually, and I want to see him live up.
Hopefully. And here it is. He's dropped that tower up in the top lane. They're looking for even more plates.
So many platings.
When did EVOS become this ultimate early game team that can absolutely dominate and beat the goddamn hell out of absolutely anyone?
I think it had to do with BOT1 actually coming out. And speaking of BOT1, he just died.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Well, that's not great. That's something Flash really needs. They need Stark to be able to kill BOT1 repeatedly, and it seems to be the case here. So BOT1 is playing a little bit more defensively. He gives up a lot of platings to the Aurelia on the bot lane. So she's now very strong. She is super strong, but she can't team fight against a Divgid in the late game. So it has to go. They have to go to the side lane. Actually, EVOS with Stark in 2018 was one of the best side laning and also just macro minor regional teams ever. They were actually praised by a lot of international analysts for their fundamentals and their side laning capabilities. So maybe Stark can go back to his vintage performances for 2018 and carry Flash through side lane play.
Perhaps, as we did just see Cardi just let it rip, use the unleash power there in the mid lane. And let's have a look at the items down in the bot lane, as Aphelios has gone for, what did we decide on? Was it the Eastern Aphelios build? Or was it it was the Eastern Aphelios, and he has gone straight Infinity Edge, skip that Essence Reaver. What a big power spike.
Yeah, this is, especially on two items, super, super strong. His two items are very much cheaper than the old two-item power spike, where you go for Essence Reaver into IE. Of course, if you hit Essence Reaver IE, or when you hit Essence Reaver IE, you are insanely strong, but it takes a lot of time. And now he got super accelerated, so if he goes for this cheaper build, he will hit his two-item power spike, maybe even before Slater hits his first item. That's such a huge difference, and two items on this ADC already, he is a teamfight machine at that point, so... He's not too far away from that, and we might see EVOS just pressing the advantage.
I don't think he's just a machine. He's the whole goddamn factory.
He
is a teamfight assembly line. He's revolutionizing the industry of dealing damage, Mr. Aphelios.
Yep. And he has so many tools in his team to protect him, to heal him, to revive him even, right? You have Nidalee heal, you have Zillion R, you have Braum shields. This is the bread and butter EVOS composition, where EVOS goes all X in Divgid basket. Divgid has more than 30% damage share. EVOS definitely knows how to play teamfights around their star AD carry.
They're about to die. This is Gravitum ult into kills. You watch. They go forward at all. There's the Gravitum ult straight onto Slater. He's been locked up into the Glacial Fissure. CBL is going to be the one knocked up. Oh, it looks like it might be going a little bit wrong, but with the teleport coming in, there's the bullet time, and there's the shutdown on Mr. Aphelios. It's all gone wrong. They're going to try and wait the Zillion ult out, so it's only the one kill, but it's the big one.
Fuck, he messed up his ultimate.
Around. Oh,
He ulted the
absolutely.
Braum.
And
He ulted
Cardi
Braum.
charging forward, and Yijin will take out but one. Flash
With
back
a big
in the
turn.
game, back in
And
a
they get the
gold
turn
lead.
as well. Oh, what a big turn. And Parky completely messes up his Zillion. He just had to press R on his ADC. Instead, he ulted B.
Mhm.
Divkit didn't even use his flash because he thought he was safe with the R coming in. Rightfully so. He should have been safe there. But now it's looking dire for EVOS
And
suddenly.
look at the objectives. With
third
this
dragon
little break, this is the third dragon on an Ocean Rift. And EVOS, they've beaten an Ocean Soul team once to get here. But doing it twice, I don't quite have faith in that. So Flash, definitely back in it with a very good chance. But Stark, I don't know how much I back his chances of getting out of here. The flash forward from DivKid to make sure the Gravitum route does come out. And Sorn gets the easy kill. 2-0-2 for him. But we are back to a dead even game.
So, and of course, this is quite a big swing for Flash,
yeah.
but we also have to definitely take into account that this was a big mistake for Parky. That is not likely to happen again. So next team fight, Divkit is still super strong, and another two faults. But yeah, it's very likely that the Parky next time around will hit the ult on the correct target. And then it's still the question: how do they kill Divkit?
Well, I
have to see.
Unfortunately, at this point, now that Flash has a bit of a gold lead, they're about 800 gold ahead, and considering that they were considerably behind, it's a massive swing. The question of how do you kill him twice becomes a lot easier. Well, you just have Stark being really strong and just kind of sitting in the backline, or at least ready to dive back in, because of course the Zillion ult doesn't fully heal you. Definitely kill him twice.
It kind of does.
Close. Yeah, it gets pretty close. Yeah. But it's not necessary.
Stark actually going split push. He's hard committing to split push builds, which surprises me a lot considering Flash is one dragon away from Dragon Soul, and you kind of have to team fight for the next dragon. So this is not the greatest build to attack Divkit in team fights. It's MR focused. It doesn't build HP. So Divkit will shred through Stark, especially if you can avoid.
I think there's an argument. I think, you know what? I'm going to come out and say it. Despite the fact that you're the color caster, I disagree. I think going split push is very smart here. Because
I didn't say it's not smart.
I know, but I mean in particular relation to the fact that you have 3 Drakes. Because yeah, EVOS is now obligated to team fight for every Drake. Because you give away Ocean Soul, you almost always lose the game. Which means that if the team fight isn't advantageous for Flash, they can just say, okay, cool, we don't take it. One Ocean Drake, who the hell cares for EVOS? We've said this a lot.
That's a very good point.
Is that if EVOS take the Drake, they don't actually get anything except 4 minutes before Flash can take the Drake. That's all they really get.
That's a very good point.
Which means that Stark is free to split push.
Yeah, kind of a lose-lose situation now for EVOS. They traded dragons for early gold, and that was very successful, but they kind of entered away all the gold. So now actually this dragon trade comes back to bite them, because they just gave up the dragons early on, and now they're in a situation where they have to contest all the dragons, especially because it's Ocean Rift. So 2 kind of plays open up for Flash. Thus, just the full split push for the very strong 1v1 Irelia, or even just the Baron. If you look at the Baron damage, Irelia deals a lot of damage to Baron, but there might be a little bit of a fight. Nope,
they're okay.
Seems like everyone is backing off again. And Irelia is now starting to split push in the bot lane. I don't really like that she's split pushing bot lane. I think she should split push as far away from Dragon as possible. We don't have the Dragon timer, unfortunately, right now.
It's bottom right. It's just above the minimap. It's in a weird spot. 1 minute 20. I imagine you have my camera there. Hi, Yulwei. I'm over the Dragon timer. It is about a minute and a little bit away. They have moved the Dragon timer on.
Yeah, that's a little bit unfortunate, but okay. So a little bit more than a minute, and I think Flash is resetting. I hope they will find the correct configuration of their lane setup. It seems like Stark is heading towards top lane, which I like the most. Mm-hmm. He also has teleport available for the next fight. It's just coming off cooldown in the next few seconds, so everything set up for Flash's success. They still kind of have to deal with the super strong Aphelios. 9,400 gold, 75% crit chance already. Double attack speed items are being built. So this Aphelios, if he gets to free fire, will just kill you all.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the one good thing on that topic is that I don't think anyone on the planet is going to forget about the threat of an Aphelios.
That's very true.
I think he is someone that everyone wants to kill, so Flash definitely won't forget. But it is still a very difficult question of how do you do it when, of course, the rest of his team wants to prevent it. Carty with a flank could definitely get something started, gets a lot of damage onto Butt One. What a start to this fight. Stark still up in the top lane. He doesn't have to pull the trigger on this TP. Yeah, he can just go for a tower, make someone recall, as Butt One is now. Dragon started.
Now Carty's item is gone. The Banshee spell effect.
It is.
So now
there's 2,000 health on the Dragon. There's Yijin in the pit. Sword's going to get blown up. He just goes down. This should be Ocean Soul for free. Flash secure it. The Zillion ult has already been used.
Why?
Down goes Div Kid. EVOS looks like absolute death as all of them go down. 3 dead. Ocean Soul secured. And it was a game of not contesting objectives correctly. And now Flash are in an absolutely dominant position here in game 1.
It's so unbelievable what happened to EVOS in this game. They were in such a great position to win it all, and then they just started to int. It's really hard to describe this game anything else, and they're just throwing continuously, just one team fight after the other. Someone way too deep. I have no idea what he was trying to go for. Just don't I don't even like the play to go for the Dragon Force. You kind of have to because the top lane is split pushing, right? But I think you have to hard engage. You don't go for the Dragon 50-50. It's way too risky. The 50-50 is really not a 50-50 in terms of what you're betting. If you lose the 50-50, you basically lose the game against Ocean Soul. If we win the 50-50, you just prolong the game by 5 minutes. So I think you have to clear the enemy jungler. You have to kill the enemy jungler. You have to go for a very aggressive engage. Instead, they all grouped up in front of Dragon Pit, let themselves be engaged on from all the sides, and very easy teamfight victory for Flash. Divkid got revived this time for Parquet, but in the middle of nowhere,
didn't matter.
Just immediately died again. So Son also with a big mistake over the wall there. Yijin got the steal. It wasn't even a steal. Son was already dead. So very easy time for Yijin to just secure the dragon there. And man, what a very disappointing first game for EVOS after such a great early game where they just dominated Flash, which is something we were not expecting to see.
Yeah, Stark, absolutely. Has come in. He's not out of ammunition, as a certain documentary talked about him once being. He has come in. To be fair, what do you think about the Stark coming in? We can't read how much of the voice has made a difference. But do you think this game would have looked much better or worse with Yoshino?
No, I don't think top lane mattered too much, honestly. Yeah. I think it was very bot side focused for EVOS, and they dominated bot side. So, Yoshino wouldn't have made a big difference there. For the whole series, especially if EVOS can repeat this type of early game dominance and maybe clean up a little bit of the mid game play, I think it definitely is on Slater and CBL to step up and not die or not get forced out of lane this often. So I think top lane actually was a very quiet play, and bot one was dominated by Star.
There was the first blood trade that we never actually saw. Unfortunately, we never got a replay on that one, so it truly will live shrouded in mystery.
No, I think we saw the first blood. We didn't see Son's kill, if I remember correctly. But I think maybe it's time for EVOS to sub in TH and try to see if TH. Yeah, but the bot one was struggling against Stark, and Stark is not as good a laner as Yoshino is. So maybe you sub in your better laning top laner to deal with Stark, and TH should actually be at least fine against Stark, if not winning. If you get a winning top lane as well, you have a winning bot lane as well already. Mid lane was absolutely just a wash. So if you have 2 winning side lanes, suddenly you're in a very good position to win the series.
Very true. As EVOS moves forward, but a good depth charge will stop any thought of an engagement, as the base has been broken. Will EVOS try and collapse here? They will, but Stark throws out the Vanguard's edge and dives forward. Divkid taking so much damage and he goes down. Parquet could not get the ult on him. Bullet time comes out as well, and I think we might be saying goodnight to EVOS
the bullet time damage
in just a little bit. I don't think they can end here, but they can definitely end very soon. There's no real way for Flash to lose this game. And just once again, EVOS, they have mastered the early game here in the playoffs. This is, 6 games in a row with a dominant early game. But unfortunately, maybe not 6. I think there was 1 or 2 games in the other best of 5. But it has been a lot of dominant early games. But once again, they are the ones with their base getting torn apart. And I think they're already going to be looking at game 2.
And we now have to think about Dragon as an objective here. So EVOS, I think, rightfully so, made the call that it's better to accelerate Divkid than to contest Dragons. They had the opportunity, think back to the second Dragon, I think it was, where everyone was there for the Dragon and able to contest, but instead they turned on bot lane and got a double kill and the first turret for Divkid. I think this trade is almost always advantageous for the team that makes this call. But they actually... it kind of hurt them in the long run because they were able, I guess is the word, to throw this big gold lead for the ADC, which shouldn't be possible. He was so far ahead. So now we have to think about the next game. Will EVOS try to get first dragons instead of getting the big leads? Or will they say, okay, this was a big mistake. We know we shouldn't have lost this game. This was our game to lose, and we lost it. So not the greatest mid-game play, but we still dominated the early game, and you should win the series if you win the early game. So let's stick with it. Let's hard focus on the gold instead of dragons. Or do they make the amendment and say, no, we need to contest dragons. We are not good enough to close from a gold lead. We actually need to go even dragons to have a chance to fight. Very interesting to track.
It is absolutely interesting to track, and I think it is becoming more and more obvious that they do need to contest the dragons. Even to go up against Team Secret, they were getting these big, like massive early game leads, much bigger than this game, but not necessarily being able to close it out super cleanly, as the Elder Drake will be going to Flash. We are doing a little bit of the song and dance here for game 1.
Absolutely.
This is
3 inhibitors down, Elder Dragon on top of a 10k gold lead and an Ocean Soul. So
no prizes for guessing who wins from here. There is
no, absolutely not.
This is a little bit.
So we were just waiting for game 2 here, and EVOS is not really believing in themselves in this game either anymore. I think it would be very foolish to do so. Okay, there's a little bit of a fight top. Oh, wow,
Stark has gone into his GA, and actually will be a kill onto Cardi, but out comes the bullet time. The GA forced. This is obviously just a little bit of a formality. Thorn goes golden before the dragon executes him, but the first tick of damage will cause that Elder buff, and it will be EVOS doing absolutely everything they can. Oh boy, they're actually winning this fight as everyone's going down.
Uncontested.
EVOS with the last minute rally and 3 kills. I'm sure it will be 4.
Look at the flamethrower damage.
Yep, that flamethrower is absolutely burninating the countryside. And CBL actually walks away as they just want to defend the Nexus. Makes a lot of sense. So it is a team fight win for EVOS. Of course, it's all turned around. Now EVOS is in a strong... No, I don't think so.
Not quite.
Not going that far.
So this was actually such a hard to win team fight. We face 10k gold down, Ocean Soul, Elder Dragon.
That was arrogant.
Yeah, I think so. Flash made the mistake. They made the call. Okay, it doesn't matter that we have a hard time diving Divkid because we have Elder Dragon. Whatever we do in this team fight, we will win. Which I can't even flame them for that decision because it's most like 99% of the time this is the correct call. Elder Dragon will just win you the team fight, no matter how you actually approach the team fight. Not the case here, though, as Divkid has so much lifesteal that he never drops below like 50% HP, maybe not even below 70% HP. So he's able to carry this fight, but still full priority over the whole map. The next big objective is Baron, and they will take another chance to finish this game in just a few minutes.
It will be interesting as they do pick up that Baron. This should be, look. Can we even entertain the notion of EVOS potentially coming back? Or would we be making a joke of ourselves?
If Divkid is able to get like the 200 years of game design experience ultimate here and just kill everyone in one swipe,
I mean,
then
maybe,
I guess
maybe if he gets 6 or 7 of them, maybe then we're talking.
He's on 4 items. He's very strong. He's level 16 as well, so highest potential damage in terms of base damage
So
on the ultimate.
are we saying that every item Aphelios gets is 50 years of game design? I think this may well be it, though, as the Baron minions are coming in. There is the initiation, but one will be the first one to fall. Will they find much more? I think they will. Bullet time comes out. That's another kill. And the Nexus will be the third one to go down. EVOS will lose game 1. Team Flash gets up 1-0. Perhaps to be expected, but not necessarily in the manner we expected.
Yep, not necessarily what the game told us early on. Very big swing with some botched fights, especially the top lane fight was just not well played. Parky actually cost his team the game, and we were praising Parky so much for the first 2 years. He played great on all the control mages. Tried a new one, tried a new approach to the game, tried to go for Zillion, and misses the most crucial R press of the whole game. This turns around the fight. This turns around the whole gold lead, and they lose another dragon. They lose soul. Everything is just done after that. Divkid tried his damnedest. He was so strong. Not good enough.
Absolutely. Divkid definitely tried to lift up the whole world, but unfortunately did drop it. Only so much he can do. Definitely no harsh words directed his way. He did his best. And if he does that again in game 2, they are definitely in with another very, very big chance. But that is going to be it for game 1. We'll be back in a few minutes. It won't be very long at all to see if Flash can continue it and go up 2-0, or will we be brought back to 1-1 and just be playing a best of 3? We'll find out soon. Don't go anywhere, guys. Thank you for joining us for the VCS playoffs here on the unofficial VCS English cast. See you in just a little bit, guys.
See you.
Welcome back, everybody, for Game 2 of our semi-finals here in the VCS. Team Flash has gotten off to a 1-0 start, but it wasn't all clear sailing, as EVOS definitely had a strong early game. Now we go into the question, can EVOS repeat that performance, but this time carry it home? What do you think, Yulwei?
So I just opened my window and the pause, and the church bells were ringing because of Easter, of course. I hope the bells are ringing as well for EVOS. They need to change something in game.
Yeah, maybe the alarm bells.
This mid game, man. Yeah, the alarm bells indeed. So this mid game was pretty atrocious. I hope they stick to their early game plans because their early games have been super impressive. And if you only change mid-game, but then suddenly you're looking at a 3K deficit because Flash played their very strong early games, then that didn't help either. So hopefully EVOS can reset and can just say, okay, the first 15 minutes were great. Then we made 2-3 crucial mistakes and the game slipped away from our hands. So let's try to replicate the first 15 minutes and let's try to not do the silly mistakes, which sounds easy, but it's all they had to do. They were in such a strong position. They just had to team fight. They just had to force the Zillion propping up these super strong and super overfed Aphelios. Should have been an easy game victory. Instead, they're looking at an 0-0 start to semifinals.
Absolutely. It's a bit of a shame for sure. That has been a theme of a few of these games so far in playoffs. Now, we were singing EVOS's praises coming into this series because they did look very good against Team Secret. We had them as the underdog, but of course, here they are, the winner. But we have to start saying that, well, they didn't look dominant against Secret. They got there by the hair on their chinny chin chin, for sure. And these dominant early games, it has become a little bit of a theme that they can't actually make it work.
Yeah.
Particularly when this Azir is being taken away. Parquet has looked great on the Azir, but you can just ban it.
Yeah, that was the approach for Flash. We also see the same sites again. So I'm not sure why this is happening all the time. It seems like both teams are just content, just going for the run back, going for the same site again. Stark is still in, so why would Flash sub him out after the first game? Doesn't make sense. So he is still here. Will he bring another carry to the top lane? Does he go towards something like a tank, maybe a little bit more bruiserish? There were moments in the game where I thought, okay, the Stark champion might have cost Flash the chance of team fighting, but instead he was actually super strong. So let's see what he has in store for us.
Yeah, it will absolutely be interesting as the bans so far looking pretty the same. I do want to comment on that Blitzcrank ban. CBL still pulling that one and remains questionable, in my opinion. For sure. But oh well, if they think they've got room in their bans, why not?
Yeah, Kalista once again banned for EVOS as well, probably making the read that she's likely to be the first pick. We saw the Set ban as well for EVOS. Will they leave Set open this time around? Set was a very big pick in the first playoff series. We had outstanding performances from Hani twice, and then from Hero in the last game, TH, of course, who is also now in. We actually have not commented on TH being in, subbed in. After a pretty bad game for Bot 1, I was kind of hoping for TH because he's the better laner of the two. So they give up Stark or a Stark Set again. Maybe it's a support Set, who knows? But they give up Set again. And this is not done well for EVOS. Giving up Set was caused some of the losses, I should say, on the first series. So let's see if they can play against Set a little bit better, and if Diffkit especially can avoid the big showstopper interface breaker combo.
We have to hope so, and this is kind of interesting because it's possible that EVOS was making the read that Stark wasn't going to go towards the Set, because we did see Hero coming in and being the hero. As just to explain, TH, his name was Hero, and we've been trying all split to break the habit of calling him Hero, but we haven't managed to do it yet. TH, of course.
Better name.
It is a better name, but it is TH. He came in Game 5 against Team Secret and was absolutely absurd on the Set. So maybe a little bit of a misread, but I'm sure not all of their eggs were in that basket. That would be very foolish. But it is, once again, Aphelios for MF. It didn't really work out last time.
Yeah.
Aphelios should have been the better side of that trade.
So I'm a little bit surprised Flash is sticking with MF. After that laning phase of Slater and CBL, I was expecting something like Kaiser, maybe something like Zaya, a little bit more of what Slater liked to play last season, because his MF looked a little bit rough. And now, once again, EVOS should be winning this bot lane. Divkit and B definitely had the number of Slater and CBL in the last game. Of course, it can all change in the new game. We reload onto new Rift, so let's see what bot lane will be about. And we see Sejuani for Son was banned in the first game, one of his best champs and very strong for team fighting. This is much more about Son facilitating bot lane than him farming himself, which was the first configuration. These are the two sides of the Son coin, and this time around we go to ganking jungler and team fighting jungler.
Yeah, absolutely. Thorn wanting to be the front line for his team to push them through. It makes sense if they perhaps had a bit of a stronger front line. If Divkid can get off to the same kind of start he did in game 1, with a strong front line in front of him, he can definitely pop off and carry. But what would you like to see Flash rounding their comp out with? We obviously need a jungler and a mid lane, presumably.
So I expect this to be Olaf is banned. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. I just wanted to say Olaf draft for Flash because, of course, most played champ for Yijin. You can definitely play through topside. The Olaf set very easy dice, a lot of damage. So Syndra is banned. I think we go to TH's special. Vladimir's out now as well. Would have been a nice champion for this composition. Very, very teamfight focused. Instead, they actually banned 2 of TH's most played champs. This is a little bit of the champion pool question we had for him. 17 games even on those 2 champs that were getting banned in phase 2. Now he is on Irelia.
Okay.
That's super interesting.
This also means, obviously, we have to see Stark play something else. And, I mean, he's played 1 game, so I presume he's got more than just Irelia in the pocket. He's probably on the set, to be totally
let's say
honest.
Flash will go to AP mid lane or AP jungle? Gragas is open. Yeah. I'd like to see Gragas. Instead, another Nidalee game. That's super exciting as well.
Ooh, you appear to be a few seconds ahead, just by the way. You might want to pause for a moment. It's okay. Just pause for a second.
So they have the freedom now to also go for AD mid lane if they want to. Cardi is shown as some AD mid laners. Lucian comes to mind. Jace, of course, comes to mind as well. Would be very strong combination with Nidalee. So I kind of see the Jace here. Could also just go control mage. Why not? It's always a solid option to go control mage. That is different.
That is a Lissandra. Bringing out the Ice Queen, the controlliest of Control Mage.
Yeah, indeed.
We do have
controlliest of Control Mage that is actually not really a Control Mage.
Yeah, we have the Freljord Civil War.
Wow. What is going on?
Akali. Alrighty then. EVOS. Goddamn, why do I say things? I said they didn't have any knuckleballs left. But they're just throwing bouncers and sliders, and I'm trying to use baseball terms without ever watching a game of baseball. So I'm sure Americans in the chat are absolutely molding. But you know what I mean. This is a wacky one, as it's actually Parquet on the Irelia. And TH will get his hands on Akali.
Interesting. So Parquet changing his style big time. He was the control mage player in quarterfinals, and also, of course, in the first game we saw. Big problems on the Zillion to make it work, so now he's going to an Assassin. He should have an easy laning phase. That said, though, level 6 is very, very hard to play for Aurelia. She lost her damage reduction against AP damage, and there's a lot of burst and lockdown on the side of Flash. So I hope he goes for Cleanse. I think whenever we see pro games against Lissandra, people who are not going for Cleanse are just inting. So let's hope that's not the case here.
Yeah, we don't like seeing inting. Well,
Akali top lane. TH Akali was something he played a lot in the last season. I haven't seen it too much this season. Against Zed, this matchup is it can look very differently.
I think
sometimes Akali can get stat checked. Set can definitely stat check Akali if she tries to fight him to face up. So if she shows him where to how to engage and stuff like that, she can definitely fall prey to his superior stats.
I think the thing about this matchup is it's all about Akali.
Yeah, it is.
It is the set player. If both players play perfectly, Akali wins 100% of the time. So it's really about, does the Akali player make a mistake? Which means it's a hard matchup for Set. The thing about Set, and this is coming from a person that adores Set, is he's only got so many mechanics, right? He's not a very complex champion. You're either killing him or you're not. Akali, she's got a few tricks up her sleeve, and Set doesn't even have sleeves. He wears a vest. So this is one of those matchups where I think Set will go Fleet Footwork or maybe the Aftershock if he's feeling very dangerous. I would personally say it's probably going to be the Fleet Footwork. And he just wants to farm it out. He might be a little bit behind in farm because there's that constant Q and the empowered auto harass is very, very strong. But he should be okay. I think he'll come out pretty
Set
even.
wins early game.
Super
against
early.
Akali.
Yeah, pre-6 maybe, but not after.
Yeah, pre-6
So I think
sure.
by the time the lane
after 6
phase ends, Akali will either be even or a little bit ahead. It's not going to be devastating.
Yeah, the early game is hard to play for Akali, though, because energy problems are there. She can't really wave clear with Q, so she has to go up to the wave and then Set can just slam her. And the early few levels will be a little bit difficult for Akali. And maybe Nidalee can come up there, maybe even bring Lysandra with her and just lock her down, get an early kill on TH, and bring Stark far enough ahead that the lane matchup will not swing in the favor of Akali after 6.
I think one of the big
probably Flash's game plan.
I think one of the big things is it comes down a little bit to top jungle synergy, and this is actually an interesting topic because obviously it's not Flash's normal top laner. Is what you want to do is Set in this matchup. The way you set up for a gank is you hit a face breaker before your jungler gets there, because what Akali does, if you hit a face breaker, she just instantly W's, right? Because then you can't follow up. All of your follow up is auto attack based, so if she drops the W, you can't click on her. So what you do is you hit that phase breaker, so she uses a W, and then your jungler comes, and you say, well, Akali, what now? Because you don't have your W anymore. I don't have my phase breaker, but I don't really care, because my jungle is packing CC. That's how you kill
then it becomes a little bit of a game of chicken, right? Where both players know this interaction.
Exactly.
So now it's on Stark to maybe employ ruse, maybe go for some of these fake face breaker initiations. And then Hero has to make the judgment, do I go for W? Do I go for trades in lane? Because then I have to go for W. Mm-hmm. If I don't go for W, he will slam me to half HP with one trade. With Q resets.
I think that's the big... I know we're focusing on the top lane, but I think it's an interesting matchup. That's sort of the saving grace. I said that there's only so much Set can do, and I stand by that. But the one thing he can do is he is in the 2v2. The Set should win out. The Set plus his jungler should win. So he's the one that can just hit Q, get that advancement, and just start running forward. And Akali's got to say, I don't know if you're just running at me or if your jungler's in the bush. I have no way of knowing. Yeah. I have to respect it. If Akali steps up, Set can just say, okay, you're either going to come poke me or you've got a jungler. It doesn't change what I'm going to do.
But then it gets even more interesting when the mind games start to get to the next level, and Sorn is also getting involved. Yep. Okay, speaking of Sorn, he might have to flash here, honestly.
He absolutely might. There is the Dark Harvest stack. Yijin with the specialty, bringing out the Dark Harvest, of course, as he has had to recall immediately. No, never mind. He stays.
There we go. Yeah, Yijin showing his dominance on this champion, and he wanted to show Sorn how to play. Wow, Sorn actually used both of his spots. He did not go back to base. Now Flash might look for the re-invade. They were spotted. This might be big brawl at level 1.
Oh, we know we love it. We love a bit of action at level 1 here at VCS Mania. Oh, it's not over yet. There's a blast cone. And they're stepping up to it. Here they come. They're going to pop.
Oh, no!
Screw up. That is an absolute beans right there. EVOS pushing forward.
Parquet's here as well.
Parquet's here. This is a disaster. Yijin misses the spear. And Flash has absolutely lost themselves in the pasta sauce. They've made themselves a delicious bolognese, but they don't know where they're going. And Yijin will be flamed.
What is going on?
The Flash. Parquet's going low. He's exhausted. They will get the kill on him, but Sorn got first blood. DivKid has arrived. Slater coming in. B very, very low. Can Slater begin to get some double ups? He can. There's the second kill. Will B go down? No, he won't. Sorn going very low. He smites for a little bit of health. Very little slick play. And it's 2 for 1 in EVOS' favor. And what the goddamn hell did we just watch?
Oh, what an absolutely insane play from both sides.
Insane is one word. Terrible is another.
No, it's great for entertainment purposes.
Absolutely. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Parky teleporting back to lane. Ooh. Well, both junglers at 0 and 1 CS. This is a very late jungle start.
Yeah, you can say that again. Oh my. VCS, how I love ye.
Wow, Flash was very close to just straight up losing the game there. They got a little bit lucky. The DivKid was super confused as to where to go. He arrived way too late. No, I can't really blame it, honestly. And then Karti arrived, and Karti's passive changed the fight. Maybe you get to see the replay. But Karti's passive actually zoned them off the second kill, or the third kill maybe. So it was super close. And enemy mid laner almost had to flash as well. Yijin stealing away the blue buff. Do we have a vertical jungler? No, it seems like Sorn is settling for only 1 buff. Of course, he got the extra kill, so he can farm up quite nicely with double jungle items early on.
Yeah, but this does let Yijin catch up, so that 1 kill difference doesn't matter quite as much in terms of experience, as Yijin's actually on the re-engage. Now, this is cheeky, as he just goes to try and potentially spot Sorn. He spotted?
In terms of combat stats, Yijin is stronger right now. He has double buffs.
Absolutely.
While, yes, Sorn is going for a full jungle. Yeah, that's not useful in combat.
I would say that navigating the jungles of Vietnam, you'd love a machete. So it makes a lot of sense. Right? It's thematically appropriate. As I think we are slowly returning to normalcy with Yijin securing a 3 buff.
I before the game got into full chaos mode, I was talking about Parky summoning spells, and he actually went for teleport. So level 6 is the most obvious play we've ever seen. It's Karti engaging, maybe even Flash ultimate, Yijin following up with the easiest spear. Okay, DivKid. Okay,
DivKid. CBL was not in range to hit the Spider Knot. The flay back, the arrival of Sorn should bring the pain to the bot lane. And once again, DivKid looking big, as he is 2-0.
That was such a horrible play for DivKid.
I mean, it was a bit worse for CBL.
Yeah. It worked out because CBL didn't know his range on the passive there, on the Q there. But honestly, the play in itself was just horrible. He's super lucky to run away with a 2-0 lead now.
If it works, once again, it works.
Yeah, fair enough. So DivKid sadly doesn't have the early crescendo, so no double turret plates. But he can live with that. He's 10 CS up and 2 kills up once again.
Here is the top lane matchup. One thing to comment on is I thought he might go fleet footwork on the set just to be a little bit safer, but he has gone the conk.
He's the boss.
Oh, and TH has been caught out. He absolutely is the boss. Stark coming back in. A one-time boss of the VCS. Wanting to reclaim his throne as the Royal City chair, you know, the big ones.
You couldn't decide.
I couldn't say. I was thinking crown or throne. All right,
yeah,
so I wanted to say crone, but that's a completely different thing.
Well,
casting's hard.
TH has fallen behind a little bit in CS, which is to be expected. And there we go. This is the interaction we are talking about. And now Stark's using the straight.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen.
I told you.
Now TH is level 6. He actually has some kill pressure. So the way you play these traits for TH is to fake out as much as possible and try to bait Haymaker, because against Haymaker you can't really kill. So if you want, okay, he's level 6. Parker's dead.
Yep, Parquet is in a little bit of trouble. As I chose a bad time to put up the live
Wow.
layout. Apparently.
Wow!
As here we go, Parquet manages to get a kill, but does go down in the end. Wow.
Channeling is in a Chovy. Wow, that was reminiscent of Chovy's World's performance against Caps.
We might
that
need
was
a
just
replay.
a 1v2.
I was putting up the live layout, so I didn't even see it. Screw you, Peng. Stop calling me out in chat.
So here we go. EVOS actually trade very favorably, and this time around, get the dragon. We were talking about this last game where we were discussing if it's better for EVOS to stick to their plan of giving up dragons in favor of gold, or if they have to go for dragons because they seem to throw every single game. Actually, a little bit of a top lane trade. TH might look for the solo kill here.
This is an ult coming in as TH is charging forward. Stark very low, but he's got that Conqueror. The Akali could come back in on the E. It's very risky though. And in the end, they'll both disengage. Both of them ulted, but the Akali ult obviously has a famously long cooldown. And Yijin has arrived. Will they go for the dive?
Oh, no!
The spear misses because of the face breaker, but I think... Ooh, no, they can't
the
actually
turnaround
dive it.
This is possible.
This is very real, but I don't think they'll go for it. I don't think they win that 2v2 because of how low TH is.
Yeah, maybe. So let's look at the mid lane play again. Here we go. You actually missed that one. Parky with the early magic boots itemization gets out of the stun very early on and flashes to secure the kill on Yijin. Very nicely done. The Aurelia was just running circles around the very stationary Lissandra.
Oh, there's Slater gets hooked, but instant cleanse. Had to do it. Yep, makes sense.
Looks very, very silly if you Lissandra facing off against Aurelia just jumping around. Lissandra standing like, come on, dude. Calm down.
To stay still for like 2 seconds, man, please. I can taste your sweat through my screen. Oh, Aurelia.
Very different champion. Very, very different champions. But yeah, it's fun to see them face off against each other. I like both champs in pro play right now. I think they are very fun to watch. I think Lissandra gives us cool engages where team fights get super exciting. And even though she's not the most interesting of champions in laning phase, yeah, she's very point and clicky and gives a nice place. So
I think it's very, very funny when you watch Lissandra versus Aurelia. And the Aurelia goes for those crazy outplays where she's jumping everywhere and then just gets ulted. And then just gets ulted. And it's just like, just stop. Sit down.
Didn't work the first time, though. So
did not work the first time. But the ult is back up. And without cleanse, Parquet is always fairly vulnerable, as this is a little bit aggressive here by Carty, moving into the middle of 3.
Whoa.
But they don't pull the trigger.
Look at the levels.
This is very dangerous. Carty flashes forward, and there is the ult. CBL should be able to follow up the hook. Parquet has absolutely no chance this time. Down he goes. Sorn, oh god, that was a very aggressive recall, but he does charge over the wall.
Not the best coordination for EVOS. EVOS had numbers advantage on top side, but instead Parky went back to mid lane when he had no idea where the bot lane and the jungler were. So, and they had to know that Carty's ultimate was back available. Flash also invested in the fight. So very ill-advised pathing there for Parky to go back to lane. I think he had to group up with his top side and go back to mid lane as a unit, 3 members, to force the fight, because he's actually super strong. He has early MR boots. He can look for fights, and TH in a little bit of trouble as well.
Yeah, absolutely in some trouble as he's trying to find his way out, and does, as Flash decided they didn't want that fight. Makes a lot of sense. There was no reason to. They got the Rift Herald, and Sorn going so aggressive, just walking forward, and there was no way to really capitalize on it. So he gets
he wanted to buy a little bit more time for Parky. Actually made a lot of sense if you look at the mid lane. He bought time for Parky to secure the first third plating, and 160 gold more for your Aurelia that is already ahead in CS. Not the worst, not the worst.
Absolutely not, considering that Aurelia does need to catch up a bit. This does look like it's not going to be Borkrelia. That is a Phage. I think we're looking at Triforce, which is obviously a bit slower. Makes sense.
Yeah, this is something we have seen a lot with Aurelia players. If they go top lane, if they go into tanks or bruisers, they go Borkrelia. If you go mid lane and into mages, where you rely on the burst and also the cooldown reduction to be able to like fight, change the fight, to jump around, you go for the more tanky build, for the more cooldown reduction and ability-based build. That is, of course, Trinity Force. So
It makes sense.
Makes a lot of sense to me. Now she actually faces the other part of the matchup. But honestly, with Stark's HP bar right now, it still makes a lot of sense to go for the burst build, because he's going Borg Set. And Borg Set is not super tanky either.
No, he's not. Well, isn't he? That's a big shield
he's
and a
still
haymaker.
set. He's still
he
set,
is still
of course.
set. The boss has a big old shield because the boss can get whenever he wants. And a lot of extra health is often on the menu. I don't think this lane swap will last, though. I think this is very much just a swap of convenience rather than a swap of tactics.
Yeah, EVOS really does not like this lane swap.
Ooh, and the Rift Herald being summoned up. This is going to be the counter engage. Sword is here. Yeah. Yijin is absolutely going to die as he flashes over the wall.
Stark?
But there's a lot of
nice ult.
Stark in a lot of trouble. He goes for the slam it down.
Does
dead. He have a haymaker? He does. He gets on the tower. He should be going down. But he deals a lot of damage back. And the first tower did happen, but it's still EVOS with a 900 gold lead. And the tempo advantage for the moment, as they're going to get Dragon, something they couldn't do last game. And now they've got two of them.
Yeah, and we have to see if the turret gold actually went to someone there, because
I don't think it did. I'm not sure.
Back towards their turret, so I'm not sure they actually collected the first turret gold, which then is a big loss, because that's 600-700 gold with the last two platings as well. So, big swing, and EVOS once again dominating the early game. Not quite as hard as in the first game, and more kills overall happening, but 2 dragons in their favor this time around. Let's look at this again. Focus on the gold. Does anyone get the gold? Yijin flashes out.
I think it goes to Stark. Stark is pretty close.
No, I don't think he didn't get it. I think he only got 50 gold.
He only got 50 gold. Yeah, he didn't get it. That's unfortunate. That's a really big deal.
I think Yijin got the plate gold, but I don't think anyone got the first turret extra gold. So that's a big deal. They died and then also gave up the first turret gold. They invested a lot of time to secure, of course, with the Rift Hold. So that's a big swing in EVOS' favor. And it seems like EVOS is dominating Flash in early games. Back-to-back games.
Seems like EVOS is dominating everyone in early games. If we look at their whole playoff, that is, I think we can tell how a lot of their scrims have been ending. Maybe this is one of those scrim mentality problems where EVOS apparently just kick the hell out of everyone at 15 and they say, okay, GG, restart scrim. So EVOS never actually learns to finish the game.
That's a very valid observation. Yeah, this might actually have happened.
I'm only half joking.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen this before with the teams that dominate early game too much, where enemy teams will call the scrim. You know, like at 50 minutes, okay, we're 4K behind. Doesn't really make sense for us to practice the next minutes to ultimately lose anyway. So let's just restart the scrim. While he was maybe sitting there, okay, we would really like the practice to close out games. So guys, please don't restart. But sometimes you can't control that, right?
Yeah.
So makes a lot of sense to me. This is actually something I haven't really thought about, but this might be exactly what happened to them.
Absolutely, and we did get a little bit of insight into how the new play environment has been affecting players. Yoshino, of course, he's not playing at the moment, did give us a bit of insight. Apparently, they feel much more comfortable, well, at least he does, I shouldn't say they. He feels much more comfortable playing at home. He was mostly talking about external factors, but up in the top lane, the external factor has arrived, and his name is Yijin, but TH using that Akali ult to get away. Doesn't quite easily. Akali.
Oh, man. Just covering 2,000 units of distance in absolutely no time.
Yeah. Remember when they didn't have to target anyone?
Okay,
and he is Cardi charging forward. There's the ult onto Parquet, and I think he'll be going down. Never mind, there's the Vanguard's edge, and Stark claims him. The Frozen Thrall comes out, and it won't make much of a difference as Sorn is Gonski. And,
this is getting more and more dangerous for Flash to attempt plays on Parquet, especially if Parquet now itemizes towards more MR. He might actually be able to straight up turn on Yijin and kill him while Hikati is just sitting there. Sorry, I can't really do much. Speaking of Yijin, Sorn, he saved his mid laner there from certain death from Sorn's ultimate. So good job for Yijin to path back towards his mid lane and be a little bit more team focused, even though Natalie really wants to continue farming. Yeah. So nice play there.
Absolutely.
And she gets to farm anyway, so didn't really. Oh, who's so close? Wait, he got it. He got it.
Yeah, B got it. That was nice.
Nice.
Well done, B. We love it. But so it is a very close game in terms of gold, but we have the reverse of last game when it comes to the Dragons. EVOS have picked up the first 2, and we are once again on the most balanced of rifts, the Ocean.
We see so many Ocean Souls in this
and I love it.
Wait, man. So it would only be fair for EVOS to get the second game with an Ocean Soul as well. So go back to 1-1 and give us a very exciting series. I think EVOS is in a pretty good position to win this game. Of course, I said the same about the last game, and they, it didn't go too well for them. So.
Yeah,
this time around, the team position is a little bit easier to execute, though. They have tank jungler that can initiate as well. They still have the same kind of bot lane, even more safety added for Diffkit with B's Lantern, of course, being available to him. He's still super far ahead. This time around, not as dominating in the 2v2, but still got 2 early kills and a whole lot of platings as well. We have an Aurelia that is 2-4, but still strong, and Akali's just scaling up. So I think EVOS is in a very good position for team fights later on in the game, especially if their solo laners perform decently. So this time around, this game should be easier to close for EVOS, but Flash is still in it. They are super close in gold.
I really like this usage of the Rift Herald. They used the Rift Herald in the mid lane just to make sure someone has to go deal with it. It was cleaned up very quickly. 4,000 health, and then his CBL being caught out. He instantly dies. Yijin's in the back of the pit. That's a good bullet time, but the dive in from Hero.
Oh, Slater's dead.
Absolutely deletes Slater. Stark trying to kite out against
this is
Carly,
a big victory for EVOS.
This is a massive collapse by Flash. Yijin will go for the last chance spear, but no chance as they are on Ocean Soul Point. And EVOS in a good position to take us dead even to game 3.
Yeah. So once again, this was not the greatest fight to take for Flash. They kind of had to prevent this 3-dragon checkmate position for EVOS. We talked about last game where they don't even have to go for Soul. They can also just go for Baron or for a split push. Now they're very close to closing this game out, even though it's still only 2k gold lead. But let's look at this again. Bot lane for Flash completely failed this team fight. Slater goes for a very aggressive bullet time, just gets shredded. Had Flash and Cleanse available, didn't utilize a single summoner spell. Carty on the other side tried to make something happen, flashed in with W, but not enough damage on this Aftershock Lysandra. And the big problem for Flash as well, I'm not sure if you caught it, I kind of screamed it before this fight happened. No Flash for Stark in this fight. He had absolutely no way to get in there. And this is still Borg's set. So even though Set is a tanky boy, on Borg, he can just get kited before you get there.
Yeah, he can't wade through the enemy team. But something we have been talking about, of course, is the jungle matchup. In game 1, it did look like Yijin had deployed his army of orcs and had very much defended the gates of Mordor, but it looks like Sorn has found his path through Shelob's lair, and he is bringing that ring ever closer to Mount Doom. And it looks like Mr. Samwise Gamgee might be getting him there just in this game. They've got a ways to go before they can dunk it into the lava. But Sorn looking great.
It's very, very hard to pass Mordor, so even if you get there, you still have to go through all the high ground there. So.
They do quite famously say, one does not simply walk there.
Indeed. With the most famous of gestures. So let's take stock of the situation right now. We're 1.2k ahead for you. That's almost negligible at this point. But I think items have to be talked about because I think Stark is kind of past the point where he can easily team fight. He needs more items to get tankier. He itemized a little bit more for lane. Of course, this is still a strong. The Baron attempt. EVOS likes to go for very aggressive Barons. They don't have the perfect weapons on Diffkit to shred it quickly. But this is a hard commit. Teleport as well.
Yijin is close, but it's already down to 4,000 health. Any zoning whatsoever. Carty throws the claw. Teammate is immediately dead. Here we go. Can we see? Oh, there it is.
Oh my God.
Heal away.
It's stolen.
It's all going wrong for EVOS.
They can still win the team fight though.
They can, but not with the Make It Rain. And Flash is out of there. There's one kill down, but they're a Baron up. And it happens again, boys. EVOS loses a Baron that they shouldn't. The Prince of Thieves has apparently passed his power on.
Oh man. So this is something EVOS likes to go for a lot. Aggressive Baron calls, 50-50s, and sometimes they just throw away the Baron afterwards. This happened in the last 2 years as well. Look at TH and also look at Cardi. This is the best possible situation for Lissandra.
Bang.
In the Baron pit, everyone already is low on
In live,
MR.
Set's about to die. He has... Oh, no, never mind. He actually got out of there. That was really well done.
Yeah. So Parky gets another kill there, and Divkid still got a double kill. So, I mean, in terms of scaling, this is fine for EVOS, which is also why I like this play in the first place. I think it's super risky against Carti. If Carti gets a little bit of a better drop with his ultimate there, maybe they wipe the floor with EVOS, but in the end, EVOS still come out even. Gold is not great for them, of course, giving up the Baron. But it's still, if you get the Baron, you basically win the game. So this gamble is something LPL teams like to go for last season a lot, where they made the judgment, okay, this is a risky dragon, a Baron, but if we lose it, whatever. We just reset the game. It's not that big of a deal. We outscale them anyway. If we win it, it's just game. So it's a win more play that didn't work out this time around for EVOS, but I think they are definitely committed to this type of play to close out games. And they still have the Ocean Soul coming up in 30 seconds. So still a good opportunity for them to win this game too.
Absolutely. It is definitely not over as Sorn charges forward there. Could be a little bit of trouble. The ult whiffs, as does the hook. Stark feeling a little bit caught out by his teammates missing absolutely everything. And EVOS just gets a random double kill. Now only one Baron buff is left. And that is correct, my friend. That is the Ocean Soul giving Drake. This is the big one. So can they pick up a big barrel of Blender spread? There is the bullet time. Not good enough. Sorn will smite it away.
And there we go. Even though they lose Baron, they get 2 more kills and the Ocean Soul. That's worth so much more than just the gold from Baron. So now EVOS is looking to close out this game, maybe with the next Baron, maybe with the next Dragon as well. But team fights are almost impossible to win for Flash right now. Yep. They are already looking at Maphelius that is 5-0-4. They're sitting on 2 very strong aggressive items, and then also the QSS against Carti. So Carti can't even lock him down. They can also use the Lantern to reposition the Aphelios. Aurelia is super strong right now. I'm not in love with her optimization, I have to say. I think Ritz and would have been the better call here in this game against this many magic threats. But she's super tanky now in team fights, especially if she gets this later. And Akali is getting scarier. This is Sorn 2-0-10. He's a very, very tanky boar. So yeah, I think EVOS wins every 5-5.
I do love the fact that whenever we talk about Sejuani, we refer to it as a boar. Sejuani is actually not the boar, guys.
I know.
Oh, don't worry, I do it too. Did you know that Nunu is not the Yeti?
Yeah. Willem is the Yeti.
Is the Yeti, yeah.
I want to see some Nunu. Nunu is scary.
My favorite sort of running league joke is that Sejuani is a ginger, because when you kill Nunu, Thresh gets 2 souls, because it's the Yeti and the kid. But when you kill Sejuani, you only get 1. So Sejuani's got no soul. only the boar does.
Okay. Well, you actually get 2 souls for Nunu?
Yeah, you get 2 souls. It's just it's like a little flavor thing. But for some reason, Sejuani's not the same, despite it being pretty much the same situation.
What about Skal?
I don't know. I think because Skal doesn't die. Skal runs away.
Yeah, that's true.
Skal is literally immortal. So, and here's a catch onto Parquet. Parquet definitely not immortal, as there's the shutdown. Caught out in the mid lane.
That was so random. He was wow, Parquet. They're not his greatest series so far. No. Has redeemed himself a little bit in this game, but also a few too many deaths on this earlier. So yeah, Flash, honestly, even the 4v5 might be scary. because Divkit is still full HP and Ocean Soul for him.
Yeah, but they will get the hook
Sorn.
onto Sorn. He goes down instantly for
Damage!
200 years. There is so much damage. Yijin hops away, gets the heal, but it's not going to be enough.
There we
TH
go.
arrives, and here's the re-engage. The flamethrower is cooking him alive, as is the Akali, and all of Flash is melting away. Cardi will be the last one to go down, and 4 members of Flash adorn the rift as lovely little ornaments. And it looks like EVOS, the Fellowship of the Ring, will continue pushing forward.
Absolutely well. 7-0-6 for Divkit.
Ridiculous. Just absurd. Such a good
So
game.
they got scared. They got scared in the first game when the the Nazgul, that's the name, right? The Nazgul came and scared them away. So they had to run a little bit away from the usual ways. They got off track. They kind of lost their way.
They went
got
through
confused,
Moria.
got scared. But now they're out of the they're out of the Hobbit land and are finally making their way to Bruchtal. So there we go.
Absolutely. And look at that Aphelios damage coming in absolutely clutch. Did so much. And then TH arrived to put the nails in the coffin. And
also,
goodbye.
It's Ocean Soul and Severum in team fights. Divkit is just full HP for the whole fight. There's no way of killing him.
He still had his shield.
He actually flashed forwards aggressively. This is a team composition where you would never expect Aphelios to be able to use an aggressive flash, because he has to deal with so many tools on the enemy team. He has to deal with Dredgeline, with Death Charge, with Kati's ultimate, with Yijin jumping on top of him, with Stark ulting on top of him. He has to use his flash defensively, you would think, but instead, he just flashes forwards, uses Onslaught to get in range as well, extra movement speed there, and yeah, there we go, 7-0-6, 4 items. We said every item on Aphelios are 50 years of game development experience, so we are finally here. We are 200 years.
We are at 200 years.
It's time for the Pentacles.
I find it immensely funny that the 200 years of game design meme was originally about Wukong, who is now released and has not seen games. He has not seen a game in the VCS. As Sorn will definitely see something as he whips his ult forward. TH going so aggressive. B with him.
B is here as well.
The shield. Can they get a pick while they're a little bit cut? Divkid can't quite enter the fight. The lantern is there if he wants it. And he's starting to auto. Here is Aphelios. Parquet diving in on Slater. Hero pulls him over the wall, doing as much as he possibly can. But there's the Aphelios ult to finish him off. Parquet's only just gone down. And Flash is going down. It's 2 for 2 at the moment, but look at the health bars. That Ocean Soul just coming in so big. Cardi's got to run, uses the frozen path, and he'll skate out of there. It's a 2 for 2, but EVOS can stay on the map.
It's the most uneven 2 for 2 I've ever seen.
Yep.
So EVOS actually took a fight where it was way too scattered in the start. A little bit too aggressive from Parquet and B once again. Maybe from Sorn as well. He blew all of his tools early on. The fight was just sitting back and didn't really do anything anymore. And Divkit was hesitating, taking the lantern. So he could have taken the lantern to go into 4 members. I think he made the right choice to not go there. And stayed a little bit more back. He didn't have his flash available, so it would have been super dangerous, especially also against the against Kati's ultimate. Stark was still in the vicinity as well. So I think
Elder
great
Drake
execution.
here.
Yeah, this is just a free Elder Dragon.
Yep,
they want to trade it for Baron, but they are late.
This is so slow.
Late.
This is so slow. Oh no, are we going to see
Run, Flash, run!
What guns does Aphelios have? Because if he's got a flamethrower...
Oh no, flamethrower!
No,
he could actually.
He doesn't have it.
Do a one-shot pentacle. Could be possible here.
Absolutely, and you can see that he's using the Calibrum ability just to whip through that ammo as fast as possible. He wants
Flash,
to get
if you contest this,
I feel like he's got to go through at least one more gun before he gets... No, there it is. There's the flamethrower. I'm very, very worried. There's the turnaround. This is the engage. The last chance saloon. They're on top of Didkid, but he is Mr. Wiggly Arms. Here he goes. He's full HP, and it's Parquet getting 3. Can Parquet keep it going? They didn't even use the Aphelios ult that we were all waiting for. It is a 3-4-0, and I think we were talking about EVOS not being able to end games, but this time they've proven that they can, as I think this one might be in the books.
I think back to what we analyzed when we came into the series. EVOS, the better 5v5 team. Can Stark change this for Flash? first game, EVOS sprinted off to a great start and looked like they should be able to. They would have been 2-0 at this point. Actually, the same position they were in the first series, where they dominated game 1, then through game 2. This time around, they dominated both games and through game 1. So still 1-1, but EVOS looking super strong and crisp in team fights. I'm not sure if Flash can come up with a plan here. I think it has to start with deprioritization of MF. MF so far hasn't done anything for them.
Ban the
Absolutely
Aphelios,
useless since the latest.
honestly.
Ban Aphelios again. I think Aphelios is too dangerous. DivKid is playing a great Aphelios, especially in this second game. But honestly, even this first game was a very nice performance. Enabled by B or protected by B, depends on the pick. And Parker is looking like he's a very legitimate mid laner right now. This is spicy serious, and Flash needs to come up with ways to break this. Very strong late game.
And I did not think, I thought perhaps, I picked 3-1 for Flash, so I did think EVOS would win a game, and I actually thought it would be the first game, so I was a bit wrong. But I didn't think we'd be in the position where we were saying Flash needs to figure out what to do. I thought we'd be saying, what can EVOS do? But I don't think we're in that position at all. EVOS just needs to keep doing what they're doing what they have been doing. Flash, what have you got? Because at the moment, I think that ring's getting put in the volcano.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we might look at Yoshino. It's not like Stark had a bad game too. It wasn't the greatest. I'm still kind of hesitant on top lane Blade set. I think it's not my favorite build. I can see why people go for it. I think it's definitely the best solo queue build. I'm not too sure if it's the best competitive set game build. But I'm super interested to see will we see Yoshino here? Will Stark play another game? And what does Flash change in draft? Also, will we see Flash on red side finally? Their better win rate is on red side. So
we will find out in just about 5 minutes. Don't go anywhere, as the VCS playoffs absolutely never disappoint.
Keep delivering.
We are here for the entire extended edition of this trilogy, as it is only a trilogy now, 3 games max. So here we go. Who will come out on top? We'll find out at least who will get up to 2-1 very soon. Don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be back soon. Thanks for being here.
Got a gun in my hand, but the gun won't cock. My fingers on the trigger, but that trigger seems locked. I can't stop staring at the tick-tock clock. And even if I could, I would never give up. With a vest on my chest, a bullet in my lung, I can't believe I'm dying with my song unsung. And if and when I die, won't you bury me alone? 'Cause I'll never get to heaven if I'm singing this song. If there was something wrong, would you be all so strong? Would you do what it takes to move this whole life along? I like to think I would, you know I like to think I would, but I can guarantee that what you see is not reality. Never know she makes a point to make it get a boy. She said it's easy, but in the end you have no choice. And you know, it's not just the way that it goes. You said it right, man, that is just the way that it goes. The days that seem like forever, and the days that seem like forever. But forever is never enough. I like to sing a song from a two won't be long. I try not to be long, but I don't want to get disturbed. I was a kid who never cared about the little things. Don't even bother 'cause I'm tired and I'm sick of it. And every time she makes a point, I make it get a boy. She said it's easy, but seem like forever.
Welcome back, everybody. We've entered the third game of EVOS taking on Flash. The underdogs, they stumbled in game one and lost one crucial team fight that ended up losing them the game. In game two, they did not hit the hurdle, they ran it through. So will they keep going, or will they lose their momentum, and will Flash pick up another win? We'll find out in just this game, as we are cracking straight into champs. Like, Jesus, we don't get much of a chance to analyze.
And I can't stress enough how much of an impressive transformation this has been for EVOS and players. They have always been a good team this split. They have been challenging the better teams, but not quite winning the series. Yep. They had close games against GUM. They had very close games against Flash, even won a series at the start of the split, but kind of still in the middle of the pack. But now, this early game transformation puts them right up there, puts them in the realm of contenders, because early game was their biggest problem. They were behind on average in gold. Not the case anymore. Very impressive early game statistics. Their solo lanes are stepping up, and we all know that Diffkit can carry for sure. So, can they keep up the performance? Absolutely insane games for Diffkit so far, but they swapped sides now, and Aphelios is hitting the ban list.
Absolutely, and this, as you said, the sides have swapped. We do have Flash returning to their home of the red side. Yoshino still not coming in. Does Yoshino just not get to play playoffs? Is this going to be 2 years in a row where Yoshino doesn't get to see the light of playoffs?
Please no.
It's not fair. He's so good. I love him.
I mean, if they lose the next game and put EVOS on a match point, I really hope we'll see Yoshino, because at that point, Flash needs to change something up. But now is another opportunity for them to get to match points themselves. As I said before, this is their preferred choice of sides and their better win rate. I was expecting Yoshino to come in for red side games. Not the case. Stark seems to be the #1 top laner right now, as we go quick and fast in the pick and bans, and Syndra picked up for EVOS.
Yeah, Parquet will be getting onto that very strong champion.
This is actually very likely to go bot lane. Look at all the bot lane bans. There's the tier 1 ADCs are all banned away. Even the extended tier 1, which is like you could say Varus is extended tier 1. He's not quite the highest tier,
yeah,
but he's
S
also
plus
not
versus
like,
S tier.
Yeah, he's like S minus. He's still in the S tier though. So what will Flash go to? I expect Desire, but with Thresh picked up, it's probably more likely to be Kai'Sa here. And Set once again secure for Stark.
Slater obviously has a deep and unwavering love for his Kai'Sa. So
yeah,
I wouldn't be too surprised to see that one pick up, even if Desire makes a bit more sense. She's fine. Totally.
She's not bad.
Oh dear. Don't do it.
No.
All right, it's okay.
Oh god.
Oh no. I don't want to watch Kha'Zix.
So of course, I did research on the two teams and went back to watch EVOS against Flash in the season. And the third game of the second best of 3 actually was Son going back to Kha'Zix and doing absolutely nothing for the whole game, while Yijin ran away with the game on Nidalee. Nidalee also now 2 losses in a row. Will we see one of the two junglers still go back to her? It's not going to be Son. Son back to Rek'Sai. Rek'Sai against Nidalee?
Yijin didn't impress me on the Nidalee, honestly. I don't necessarily want him to go back to that one. Pretty average performance.
This was to be expected. This Kai'Sa is coming in here for Slater, of course. So now they need mid lane and jungle. They gave away that Set is not going support very early on, which I don't like. I think the Flex 2 support position is still a very strong one. I
think securing Thresh is really good, though, because Thresh is really good with Syndra. This makes up for a lack of mobility.
Yeah, and that's very fair. It's more of a pick away. It's not actually that great a lane with Kai'Sa. It's okay, like it's standard.
TBL
it's not like the ultra synergy.
TBL also
that is a very good point. On Nautilus last game, he gets denied his best champs most of the time. It's
Nautilus hook's not very easy to hit. It's not a very big hitbox.
No, it's not true.
I can't believe how real, like, you were to say, no, that's true. Like, do you listen to me when I talk?
Sometimes I do. Sometimes.
Oh, my.
So Vladimir is open this time for TH. They
Yes.
went for different top lane bans. Mordekaiser is still on the ban list. They seem to be super scared of Mordekaiser, which is weird because Mordekaiser actually loses to Set in top lane. And I like this ban a lot for EVOS, denying the most, or the best counter pick jungler, that is Kindred. I don't think you would pick Kindred into Rek'Sai anyway, but it's still like two very strong farming junglers banned away for Yijin, and he might have to challenge Thorn on the early part.
Oh, I think we might be seeing Mr. Skarner.
Mr.
The crystal
Skarner, another
scorpion.
Yijin special.
Burrowing out of the earth. Truly living up to the moniker that we've given him, that he is the beast of Mordor.
Wait, what?
Whoa.
That
Okie
is
doke. It's a mid lane syndrome.
Surprising.
Surprising,
Very good into
but not
Skarner.
crazy.
Very good into Skarner.
Okay.
So Zaya can kite Skarner forever, can also lock him down and kill him very easily in the late game. I like this adaptation. Zaya Divkid, we've seen a Pentakill already for Divkid on Zaya, so
Long
makes
time
a lot of
ago,
sense.
to be fair.
We are back to 2019 meta. We have Zaya against Kai'Sa in the bot lane. All the other ADCs are banned. So back to Worlds meta. We also have Aatrox. So, I mean, EVOS's comp could have just been played at Worlds. Look at this composition. Syndra mid lane, Zaya bot lane, Aatrox top. On the other side, a little bit more spice. Set, of course, wasn't in the game at that point.
Yeah,
so.
that would have been a crazy one at Worlds. But the Galio last pick, and we can now see both comps here. Obviously, one of the combos we definitely want to see is the Skarner Thresh. I love that, where you ult someone and then take the lantern and bring them to Narnia.
This is super scary, though.
It's hard
This is
to call.
all eggs in the Kai'Sa basket. And Slater basket as well. Like, so far, Slater has been outperformed by Divkid big time. Divkid has stomped Slater in lane and in team fights. So this is a lot put into Slater this game around. They have the secondary carry in Set, but Galio falls off for team fights in terms of damage.
This is 10-7 though.
Impact. Yeah, he's strong. He has the extra shield. Oh man, I'm not too. I don't really like Flash's comp. I think it's kind of against the run of play in terms of the series to go full on into Slater. Maybe you made the judgment that you can't win the series if Slater can't outperform Divkid, which might be the case actually.
It's a fairly good call. I mean, I think there's two sort of ways to think about it. Is that you can go with the run of the series and look at who's been performing well. Or you can say, well, the run of the series isn't favoring us, so we're going to slam the brakes on and twist the steering wheel, and we're just going to skid. We're going to skid into the other lane and do something else. And this is definitely something else.
Yeah, and to be fair, they have a lot of tools to bring bot lane ahead, right? They have Skarner, Flash Ultimate, they have Galio going bot, way better roaming champ than Syndra. Should also be able to equalize Ikati in lane, so they definitely brought the tools to assist bot lane and bring Slater ahead. The compositions are swapped. I got a little bit confused there, but of course it's blue side EVOS this time, and Zaya for Divkid and Kai'Sa for Slater.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Well, I mean, if the game goes like the last two games went for the early game, I think we can definitely wave goodbye to Flash's chances in game 3, because bot lane so far has been only one way, only going in Divkid's favor. And if he can replicate that success again this game, well, it's a Slater carry comp. If you're behind the enemy ADC, that you can't carry. So
it's true. However, if we sort of perhaps discard a little bit of that immediate zooming in on the series and take it out a little bit, look at the whole wide world of the split, Flash's early games have been really good. That's where they've made their money. That's their bread and their butter. So yes, EVOS have been looking better in the early game, but I think this, and I'll repeat my analogy, they're pumping the brakes and twisting the steering wheel. Go back to their wheelhouse. Go back to just trying to dominate early game, because on the flip side, if this Kai'Sa is ahead, well then yeah, it's a Kai'Sa carry comp. Let's go, right? It works.
Yeah, absolutely. So there is still a lot of CC on EVOS's side that Kai'Sa needs to deal with, but Kaiser from ahead is very good into Xayah. So, in my opinion, Xayah overall has the higher floor, while Kaiser has the higher highs. I prefer Xayah as a champion, but Kaiser into Xayah is very good at killing the enemy ADC because she gets a big shield. She gets a lot of damage against squishies as well. So even though the one-on-one comparison, maybe in terms of crit damage onto big targets, is definitely in favor of Xayah,
It's also
Kaiser
Xayah's
can reposition.
burst requires setup. Kaiser's doesn't.
Indeed.
Kaiser just presses Q, and the artillery does the job.
As well.
Yeah, so Kaiser's artillery
I
just does
definitely
the job
think
compared to the feathers.
If Kaiser ever gets to a point where she can kill Divkit alone on the backline, then I think Flash has almost won the game. Will we get to the point? So far, Divkit has played an insanely strong series. So it's kind of a big question here. But if Flash is able to once again break EVOS and go against the run of the series, then they are in a very good position to close this one out 3-1 and fend off this onslaught for EVOS, especially in the early game.
Absolutely. And I think we should be, when we talk about this game, we kind of have to talk about Flash's comp because they're the ones in the driving seat. And I'm using a lot of car analogies, but forgive me. EVOS just needs to not die. Because once Slater's behind, once the Kaiser's behind, it's kind of donezo, right? They don't need to particularly be ahead. They just need to not be behind Slater. So,
and I would also say maybe EVOS can actually make this game around top side. Usually they play a lot around the bot side, but maybe just handshake bot lane. These two bot lanes shouldn't kill each other. And then look at the 3v3 potential on the top side. I think EVOS has very strong skirmishing champs, especially early on. Rek'Sai against Skarner. Of course, Skarner has a lot of CC, and Skarner can deal a surprising amount of damage on, especially on his spires. But
that's true.
Rek'Sai is super strong, especially in the hands of Sorn.
I think we are facing a very interesting house of cards, though, where if Kaiser is strong enough to jump into the back line and survive, you suddenly have a situation where she can do that, which will call a Galio on top of her, which makes it even easier to survive a potential Syndra turnaround, which covers the entire team, which allows a Skarner to get in. Yeah. And then suddenly you have a situation where EVOS...
The dominoes are all falling in place.
EVOS is like they've got a chest burster from Alien and someone's just popping out of their chest through the back of their front line. It's very delicate, though, because it's very, very... Maybe a house of cards wasn't the right analogy, and it's dominoes. Because if that first domino of Kaiser being able to survive a couple of seconds never happens, then nothing happens.
Yeah, then all the dominoes stay standing, and Flash just loses the team fight. So yeah, it's as you said before, it's a very delicate affair here, and I'm very excited for team fights because they will be explosive. We will see a lot of AD carry action, and these are two of our star players in the whole VCS. Even if you count Gum, I think these two ADCs are our outstanding MVPs.
Blaze is not a particular. He's not a world beater. Well, he's a good player.
And we're finally into game. It's getting tense. It's getting so tense. Only one game.
2 minutes
is. Oh wow! Once again. Well, we would have missed 3 kills already last game if we went in 2 minutes. So, luckily enough, this time nothing happened in the early game.
Yeah. Early on, let's have a look at the runes. It's all looking pretty bog standard as I flick my eyes over. We are on that Hail of Blades Kaiser, though, the lane bully build. Makes a lot of sense. It is becoming the new standard, I think.
Yep. I'm not sure if she will be able to bully Xayah, though, because Xayah has a lot of nice trade patterns early on in the game. I think this will just be a little bit of farming going on. Both ADCs are also content to just scale up to 2-3 items. Xayah, of course, has a little bit of a more expensive build path compared to the Kaiser, who goes for the very, very cheap Mana Moon, which accelerates the build a lot. So Xayah kind of needs to have an early advantage to be equal in team fights, or at least in early skirmishes, where it comes down to 1 item, 2 item power spikes. We'll have to see if Divkit can once again dominate this bot lane.
Yeah, that will be interesting. That is, I think, where we've very much pointed out the focus needs to be. And it's not going to be easy because, yeah, Diff Kid, he's got all the momentum in the world. He will be very, very confident in this game after his last performances. A been a good series for him.
Yeah. Honestly, just a very good postseason for the whole of the bot side of EVOS. Great performances, and the main carries of the team, together with Son. Of course, Park had a very strong performance in the first series and was there in team fights, scaled up on the Azir, had some nice plays as well.
Ooh,
so definitely
here is
not
a fight in the bot
him.
lane. B will be the first one to go down, and we were talking about Slater getting ahead. How about First Blood?
There we go. First kill, and Flash definitely recognized the bot lane was a big problem. So this time around, they are the first to strike. And Son, with a very unusual path towards top lane, actually. Will he be able to equalize the kill count? Stark? It's definitely
Such
sniffing.
a dangerous dive. He has Haymaker. If he uses Haymaker on the wave, they'll do this. If he doesn't use it, I think they have to call it off.
Good crit for TH. Can he land the third Q?
Here they come.
Hesitating.
Haymaker's still available. There's the teleports. This is going to be a 3v2. Good flash. And now this is a little bit of trouble on the other side. But no, Cardi will just run straight back to mid lane after defusing the gank. Good absorption of pressure.
A lot of tension, but in the end, nothing happens. A lot of teleports blown. This will honestly profit Parky potentially in mid lane. Oh, Yijin is manipulating the wave. This is super smart for him. This will buy enough time for Kati to reset while Park has to push with low mana, and he doesn't have to teleport, so I really like this play for Yijin. Come in. He, of course, also likes the extra experience. It's now ahead of Son through mid lane experience, which is counts for a lot, more than jungle camps. So
yeah, he'll be saying that he did it for all the reasons you just pointed out. Really, he just liked the minions.
Yeah, of course. So you would, I think you have to stop for like 2 seconds, maybe 3 seconds.
I'll pause at 5:45. Sorry about this, everyone. This is bootleg casting.
And 45.
Oh, there we go. Sorry about that. We do just have to get our casters in sync, or things get very wacky in team fights, to say the least. So we should be all good now. And we continue going forward. The lead for Flash is not very big, but it's exactly where they want it to be.
Absolutely. So, will EVOS try to make something happen in bot lane to get Divkid back to even footing against Slater? As I said before, Zarya actually needs to have a little bit of an advantage to be even in items, because her items are way more expensive. Her item power spikes are also very, very strong. So once she hits 3 items, actually a little bit of a
just going for this. There's the suplex potentially trying to be used as an escape, and it's pretty successful. And both top laners are now without an ult, but the wave positioning heavily favoring TH.
Yeah, TH finally showing us that Stark is maybe a little bit rusty on some traits, because TH is dominating this top lane 1v1 quite heavily, and Stark has to walk back to lane and give up maybe a whole minion wave, so better recall timing for TH should lead to a little bit of a gold lead, establishing in the top lane, as well as a little bit of CS lead. Stark, he's actually taking more time to push out the wave than I anticipated it would take for TH, so Stark will catch this wave, and TH is attempting the freeze. I'm not sure about the choice. I think he could have hard reset the wave and try to push a little bit of an experience advantage there. Instead, he lets Stark back in. He's now 1 level ahead, so if he can find a trade, then he can punish Stark again. But I don't think it's too easy.
It is difficult, for sure, as now both sides do have the Ninja Tabby. Just that little early armor, obviously super valuable on both sides. What are you looking at?
Every support player just got very angry at Divkid there, stealing away the very valuable stack of the cannon minion. Ugh, B feels very bad about this, but he has to live with it now. So now the hard reset is coming in for TH.
And for a moment there, I thought I missed something important.
No. Just some support mains rambling about not super important stuff. Very important for our support mains, though.
And Yijin will lose his
I want to come back to this wave play here for TH, because it's very interesting how this played out. So TH delayed his crash of the wave very long. He built up the slow push longer than I anticipated he would do. I thought he would hard crash the wave and reset. Instead, he tried to sync up the timing of very successfully, so by the way. He synced up the timing of the wave to crash into the turret with Zorn invading the red buff to reinforce Zorn. So Stark was put in a lose-lose situation where he had to make the call, do I catch the wave and all the experience? Or do I go to help my jungler? Of course, Stark went for the wave. You kind of have to. There was more than 300 gold and a lot of experience. So they forced this red buff with very good wave manipulation in the top lane. It's something we don't really get to talk about much. This might go to Wayne. Okay, weird interaction there.
The boys coming. Not the best decision by Stark there. That suplex was kind of horrible. Zorn pops out and gets haymakered. His chin is broken, and there's the flayback into the impale, and it's a double kill. CBL getting the second one. 2 kills for Flash up in the top side.
Yeah, and CBL arriving there quicker than the enemy to the bot lane. This was just a very standard Rift Herald rotation we see a lot. So 8 minutes, you recall your bot lane and go into top lane, especially your support. With early Moby Boots, he's able to arrive super early and turn the fight. Also, of course, they kind of disrespected Kati, though. Well, the interaction of Stark and Kati was not well practiced. There was
quite
horrible, but they still get the 2 kills.
It didn't matter.
Give up the objective, but far ahead in gold. 3 kills early on to Flash, as well as the first dragon. This is the first early game in favor of Flash, and can they make it count?
And it's solo plate gold for Slater. So even though EVOS might come out with more gold directly from this trade, it's only going to be 2 tower plates, so the Herald should be worth more. But we'll keep going on it after this recall. This isn't great.
Well, yeah, Zorn also not great. Why did he try to go for this turf play? Also, TH could have just walked away. He tried to help his jungler. The jungler was baited in by the top lane, and the top laner baited in the jungler, and that baited in the top lane again. And in the end, both died. No one had to die. So, yeah, well. Not the greatest interactions there on either side, but Flash with a big advantage.
Absolutely. It wasn't necessarily the cleanest, but it definitely got the results for Flash. And as I was saying, this is a situation where the Rift Herald might long-term get a little bit more gold, but the fact is that all of the gold is going into Slater, who has already completed his Muramana. Where it's not flipped yet. It's actually only the Mana Moon at the moment, not the Muramana.
Yeah, of course. Muramana at 11 minutes would be a little bit too broken. So it's still a big item advantage, of course, because this item is super gold efficient. You get 35 base AD on completion, and then also a lot of extra AD. Just even if your tier is not stacked up, because you have base mana on a champion, right? So this is a super valuable item. You should be close to completing his Q upgrade. Usually you need like level 9, level 10 to upgrade your Q on these items, because he should be close to 100 extra AD. So compared to where Divkit is at, that's a big disadvantage. Slater is so much stronger right now.
Absolutely. And we pointed out how important that was. If Slater can keep up this lead, it is the center point of this Flash comp. Exactly. If Flash fans in the audience, this is exactly what you want to be seeing.
Hello,
everything
Ambi.
is going according to plan. Hey, Ambi.
So the second dragon is coming up, 12 minutes in. It's quite a big advantage for Flash, as we just touched on. The items very heavily in favor in terms of ADC comparison. Everyone else is kind of on item parity, actually better items for teamfights right now for TH, and maybe even for Parquet, but I think Flash just has the superior position. Never mind, EVOS wants to fight this. Zorn is here.
Absolutely, the teleport's coming in. Zorn swims over the wall. Dragon on 1500 health. This should be easily secured for Zorn, and it is. Can they find it? CBL taking so much damage. Slater needs to find a way in. No, Divkit is just dead. Didn't even use the Featherstorm, and it's the Dragon for EVOS, but everything else for Flash. And you lose an Infernal Drake, but you get 2 very important kills. Yeah, I think you take those.
Yeah.
And it might even be a third, as B only Spider Nauts moments away.
Oh, what?
There is a Lantern, not the person to bring in, but there's a hook interrupting a hook, and it's an easy peasy kill for Mr. Stark.
So Thresh grab actually takes priority over Nautilus grab.
Oh,
Interesting.
fine.
Okay.
Something takes priority over
Finally
Nautilus.
something, indeed. So this was, I'm really not in love with EVO's call there. Give up the second dragon. You're too far behind, especially in itemization for ADCs. I don't think you should fight that. Swan actually gets the steal, or the secure, because he was on the dragon a little bit earlier.
Mhm.
But let's look at Diffkid. What does he do here? Why does he go in? Oh, very nice grab from the CBL. He's just permissed his seed. That's
Yeah.
yeah. No time to ult. I think there was a lot of visual noise, so it's kind of hard to press your R on side of the hook. But he's a pro player. He should still be able to do that. So in the end, a big mistake for Diffkid. Once again, dies with ult, flash, and heal available. Not good enough. So
CBL.
Flash now up to 6-0 lead in kills.
This is why they don't let CBL into Hook City anymore. He makes everyone look very, very silly. He is grabbing people left and right.
And interestingly enough, even though Star kind of got stomped in lane in terms of wave manipulation, in terms of farming, he's 3-0-2. He's a very strong set right now, and I don't think Aatrix can fight him on this item breakpoint. So
God, no. Not even close.
still 35 CS ahead for TH, but he's looking at his bot lane and kind of he's not too happy with their performance.
Yeah. Sounds a bit like you in TeamSpeak last night. That's just one for the Discord boys. But Flash, obviously,
I had to
in a
deal
fantastic
with support fiddlesticks, though, right? So
don't you make fun of fiddlesticks?
So how can EVOs come back into this game? This is the first time where we have to ask this question, especially at 15 minutes, because so far they've dominated early game, of course. The team composition for Flash is still very binary. If they can kill Slater somehow, it's not easy, but if they manage to kill Slater, then suddenly it should be kind of easy for EVOS to also win the whole team fight. One item now built for Diffkid. He needs to scale up to 2 or even 3 items to be able to dominate team fights. Parquet also in a very defensive itemization, so he's not able to burst much. He's more about controlling fights right now. So a little bit of a holding pattern for EVOS. They need more items, they need more gold, and most importantly, more time.
Absolutely, they do. Time is going to be the biggest one, and I don't know how much of it they're going to be able to get.
Oh, Parker in a very bad position, but someone is here for the counter game.
This is going to be the 2v2 as he flashes away. Is there the Impale? There absolutely is. But all the other CC's missing. It doesn't matter though, as Parker should be going down. Never mind. The scatter the but the knock up, B dashed in, and CBL gets the hook onto Divkid and sends him to the death realm. B goes golden, but it doesn't matter at all. All he did was buy himself 2 seconds. And it is another
what
play
absolute
in
hero
Flash.
CBL is in this game.
There's
a reason all his hook champs get banned all the time. Another perfect prediction or just grab on Divkid. Divkid once again didn't use ult to avoid the grab. He has to be better at avoiding, but it might be too late already.
I think it
now
might.
9-1 for Flash. We in almost 5k gold lead for them as well. 9-1 in kills and 1-1 in dragons. So far away from the potential Ocean Soul again, by the way. Yeah. I'm not sure. I
think even you could guess what Rift we might go to if you were betting this time. This is not a good situation for EVOS for sure, and we are seeing Flash.
Look at the items.
Yeah, that is just a straight up Rageblade buy for Slater.
EVOS might have to look at the next game. Honestly, they're only 4k gold down. It looks worse than that right now. They can't fight. So it looks worse, and that's for the reason. We saw team fights, and they have absolutely no chance. It's not like a 4k deficit at 70 minutes, which is already big enough. It's more like a 10k difference, because there's absolutely no way for them to win a fight. But if they can stall this game and keep this gold close at 4k, maybe, then there's a chance later on, once Divkid hits 3 items, once Parker hits a few more penetration items as well.
Has to use his flash. There should be an Ocean Drake.
Super aggressively positioned here on the Ocean Drake.
Yeah, I think it's just going to be an Ocean Drake for a second Rift Herald, which is not necessarily the best trade.
They need to commit, though. If they wait any
EVOS
longer...
needs to go. They're not reading the fact that Yijin's not close. Flash is doing an excellent job just scaring them away. The Rift Herald's now been secured, and he'll be trucking his way down. EVOS has waited too long. They need to just give this up now.
Yeah, honestly, I still think this is probably the correct call. Because even a 5v4 might not be in your favor. So, could have secured maybe a little bit more in terms of overall map play, but I don't think the Dragon would have gone over without a fight for Flash. So, in the end, probably the correct call for EVOS. Maybe a little bit too late in the game. And there's also a really big jungle advantage now for Yijin. He's working on his level 12, while his Zorn just ticked over to level 10. So
that is
securing objectives will be even harder than before.
Yeah, it was already pretty hard. But Yijin definitely looking very, very strong right now as he clears out a Rek'Sai tunnel. And now Flash, where do they go now? This is one of those situations where they're so far ahead that they've got nothing more to take.
Yeah, indeed. It's one of those situations where you desperately want Baron to spawn 2 minutes earlier than he normally does, because you just don't have anything to do. It's quite hard to pressure inner turrets. The enemy team still has a lot of CC, and base damages and turret damages are a little bit too much to dive on 2 items. So yeah, just catch waves, just scale up to the strongest point you can be, and wait for Baron to spawn to force the enemy team to react. Because of course, the enemy team has to do something about Baron. Your jungler is far ahead in experience. You have very quick Baron with a strong Kaiser early on. You also have Blade of the Rune King on your top laner. So if he actually participates in Baron, he will shred that thing as well. So,
yep. And there's no reason for him not to. They can just 5v5.
Yeah, absolutely not. Yeah, I don't think they can accomplish much with split pushing. Aatrox is too strong. Set can't really force him out of lane. So not much to be accomplished in the side lane for Set. On the other side, Galio can't really punish Parquet too much. I think he can push in waves, but he can't really attack turrets. So it's all about Baron, which is also a good sign for EVOS, because it's very easy to defend for only one objective. If you are not drawn across the map, if you don't have to deal with big split push threats, then yeah, I mean, you'll just get a little bit of vision in.
I don't know if you caught that, but that was the ultimate they know where the eggs are, as they added a lot of padding to that basket. Slater throws a W over for a gifted blue buff, walks over, one auto attack for a gifted red buff. He is a happy, happy boy. As finally CBL misses a hook. I wasn't sure if he was capable. And Zorn gets away. But it's still so much pressure here for Flash as they're setting up around this Baron.
Transformations coming in for Slater as well. So he's on full 2 completed items, while DivKid is, well, not even close. Slater getting caught, though. He had to flash away. Can they kill him?
Look at the big shield. Zorn comes out. There's the lantern, and all of the protection has arrived. And Slater was clearly just baiting. TH, it was a teleport. You can't cancel it anymore. And he just gets rocked. DivKid has to press the ult, but I don't know if it's going to be enough to get away from Yijin. And there is the Flash Impale. It was way too over-aggressive as he goes down, but Slater goes down as well.
The scatter
between the turrets. This is the turnaround. EVOS gets so much gold.
This is also something we see a lot in EVOS games. EVOS wins teamfights from behind consistently. At least once a game, they always
gets hooked. Does he want to turn around onto Parquet? And you'll just get lanterned out. Off they go.
And also, we have to kind of be a little bit critical of Slater. Even though he had the 2-item power spike and was way stronger than DivKid, look at his itemization now. He actually was sitting on 3k gold that he didn't utilize on the last team fight. He went back to base. He was forced back into base by dying, of course. And just bought a full-on Runans. But let's look at this again. Hex Flash, grab perfect on Slater. Slater gets exhausted, has to flash away, but stays alive. Zorn, of course, committed his ult, so he's just dead. But let's look at, wow, Aatrox. Yeah, he can't cancel TPs anymore, so that's unfortunate. Let's look at our DivKid, and his ult flash turns this around. So he stuns up Yijin. Parker also with a lot of extra damage. And Slater gets turret aggro. That is so unfortunate. He gets turret aggro from the turret behind. They ignored the inner turret. I think if he had just attacked like twice or thrice on the turret, he would have actually lived there. So he just ignored the inner turret.
However,
And
Flash get
fought.
Baron.
Yeah.
I think you're about 2 seconds ahead, by the way, just based on. Might want to pause for just a moment. But here we go. Flash, it was a bit of a mistake there, but they are still incredibly far ahead. 7K and 5 velvet suits.
Yeah. Another dragon will be added very soon as well. So 1 point away from Ocean Soul, which is very convenient. Sivkid had to now also invest into QSS because he kind of has to against Legion, right? So, well, he's still super far away from his power spike. I don't think he'll hit it this game.
I think DivKid is really helping out the audience here because he's showing us the 2 certainties of life: lots of death and paying your taxes. As he finishes that QSS. He's had a good series. He's had one bad game, and I'm going to use it as a chance to rip on him. He's a good player.
So, yeah, you have to think about this from EVOS's position. They will actually fall 1-2 now. And they dominated both early games in the first 2 games. They should have been up 2-0. Instead, they are 1-2 now. They won 1 game away from being eliminated. And yeah, this has to hurt so much for them. They need to hard reset. They need to think about a way to prevent this from happening again.
And part of the problem here is this is not just something that's happened against Flash, where they've gotten the early game leads, but not been able to close out. It happened against Team Secret as well. Realistically, Team Secret should not have gotten to Game 5, but also realistically, Team Secret should have lost Game 5, and there's the Impale and the Lantern. Sorn goes golden to buy himself some time, but it doesn't really do anything, and CBL will claim the kill. Wasn't really the target you need to use that combo on, but why the hell not go for it? It's a lot of fun. As the inhib towers are all going down, it doesn't look like EVOS has much of a base, as 2 inhibs will shortly fall, I'm sure, as Carty finishes off that mid lane tower. I think the 6th player might be joining the game as the double super.
Cast your mind back to the last time they were in this position. EVOS, that is, of course. Divkid was on 4 items of Alice and was actually able to defend against 3 inhibitors and kill everyone on the other side. This time around, he's in a very different position, not even on IE yet, so I don't believe he can do it again. And even though he did it in game 1, they still lost the game in the next push, so 3 inhibitors is almost always a death sentence. Both big objectives come up in 3 minutes, but we don't actually have to wait 3 more minutes, I think. Flash.
I don't think we went in 3 minutes. Yeah, and as I was saying, this was something that it happened against Team Secret as well. Realistically, EVOS both got unlucky and very lucky to even get here. Because they shouldn't have gone to Game 5. Realistically, they should have won in 4, based on the early games. But in Game 5, it was... Secret had every chance to win that game. They had an Ocean Soul, and it was really just one big fight. I'm not going to take it away from EVOS. They played to their out, and they won the team fight. But this has to start being a little bit of... Oh, good God. Slater flies in. Can't quite finish it. And look at Yijin.
Look at Yijin.
Zooming forward, can't find anyone. He's a very tanky Scorpion. And everything gets used on him. And Slater is charging forward, doing so much damage. CBL has been exhausted. Stark flying in.
There's just
Can
no
this
damage
be
for
a
you,
double
boss.
kill? This should be a triple. Are they going to try and give him a penta? As 2 are alive.
Oh, there's some.
This is it. This could be it. But Slater's not coming forward. His team must be yelling, come on, come on. As this should be the game. And the question really just is, are they going to go for the fountain dive? I don't think so, as the Nexus will explode and Team Flash will go up 2-1.
Another game in the books for Flash, 2-1. Stark, 2-1 as well on the season so far. The first 3 games he has been playing. And honestly, just very solid in the top lane. Not the heights of Yoshino, of course, but maybe more team fight coordination. So far, it is working out for Flash. The first game, EVOS was not able to win the early game in, and Flash honestly kind of stomped them here. More early game focused, very binary composition here, but it worked out, and they might go for it again. I think EVOS should go back maybe to blue side. They should have side choice here. Sure. So let's see. If we see EVOS on blue side again, so far has been their more winning side in the playoffs at least. Interestingly enough, contrary to the regular season.
Yeah.
But they are facing the wall now, backs against the wall. Can they do anything? It would be kind of sad to see EVOS go 3-1, but also fitting because that first game was that first game should have been their victory, and they threw it away, so kind of deserve to lose. Yeah. Can they show us anything to get back?
Well, we will find out the answer to that question. Will EVOS peter out, or will they rocket us to another 5 games? I can only hope for the latter option, because we want 10 games out of our first 2 series, don't we? You'll find out with us in about 5 minutes, guys. Don't go anywhere. We have to see how this series finishes out. Thank you so much for joining us here on VCS English. We'll be back very soon.
Cause it still don't give a shit. And every time she makes a point, I make a cannibal. Shit's easy, but it ain't. You have no choice, and you know. So it's just the way that it goes. You said it right, man. That is just the way that it goes. I got a gun in my hand, but the gun won't cock. And my fingers on the trigger, but the trigger seems locked. And I can't stop staring at the thing stop clocking. Even if I'm good, I would never give up. With the best of my chest, a bullet in my lungs. I can't believe I'm dying with my song unsung. And even when I die, won't you bury me alone? Cause I'll never get to heaven if I'm singing this song. So tell me, friend, how's it gonna end when the shit goes down and there's no one left around to get your back? You'll crack, smile, and agree with everything they say. They try to tell you that it's all okay, but it's not in your shot. You're bleeding pretty bad, and you can't stop thinking about the things you never had, like a wife and a kid, and the things you never did. Run around living a life that's empty in the end, my friend. No, you'll take back all you've said. Trust me, I've been there before. I would not wish it upon my greatest enemy. What irony, close friends, but I find you'll have to learn this lesson on your own. So I waited by the phone, but the phone never rang, and I sang so loud, so I wouldn't hear the bang when the bang never came, and I never got the call. Fuck it, thank you, I love you all. So someone's gonna say that we're doomed to repeat all that and stay straight, but that's not me. And even if it was, I would always disagree, cause in the end it always gets better. I got a gun in my hand, but the gun won't cock. Yeah, my fingers on the trigger, but the trigger seems locked. And I can't stop staring at the thing stop clocking. Even if I'm good, I would never give up. With the best of my chest, a bullet in my lungs. I can't believe I'm dying with my song unsung. And even when I die, would you bury me alone? Cause I'll never get to heaven if I'm singing this song. Would you be upset if I told you we were dying? And every cure they gave us was a lie. Oh, they mean it when they say we're dead and doomed. And every single symptom brings us closer to the tomb. And who will take the credit for our swift and bending fall? Because it's not my fault. Would you be impressed if I said that the dead would help us counting? Every single moment that we waste our time, all the time we're spending vaccinating this disease. I just can't sit when I think of all the ways we try to hide our melodies. We died, and everything is fine because it's not my fault. finally got the notion. Everything you had is spinning down the drain. Whoa, give me the one you're begging for it, please. You give it to me, give it to me, give it to me, give it to me, all those things we need. It won't break down when you win for when your number will be called. You'll say it's not my fault. Go now.
Welcome back, everybody. As we are just a little bit late back. Don't worry, Yulwei will be joining us in just a second or two. I can see him putting his headphones on. Don't you worry. As we are in Champion Select for Game 4 of Team Flash taking on EVOS. And we have seen EVOS go back to the blue side, which is what you suggested. Welcome back.
Hello. Sorry for being
Now,
late.
that's okay.
These pauses are very, very short.
We are cracking through them. It's not the easiest, for sure. Stark, still in. Mr. Yoshino may well not see the stage this series. I can't say I blame him. Stark's been playing pretty well, as his Hero. Maybe Hero hasn't been as good. We're starting it off with an ADC that has not seen play so far in the Virus.
Okay, you're a little bit ahead of me. I'll try to reset to go back in there.
Good
buy
idea.
Varus last time around was banned away for EVOS. So
It was.
interesting new approach. A little bit bad and less carry threat maybe for Divkid. Of course, Varus can absolutely carry games, but he's not able to do much aggressively on his own, right? He doesn't have an aggressive charge forward. He can't go for Xayah ult into E combination. He can basically just go flash R or try to do something weird with his arrow maybe. So it's a little bit of a different taste.
Is CBL once again getting his thrash, going back to Hook City. Apparently they have
He
let
was
him on the
absolutely
bus.
smurfing in the last game, so
Yeah, not surprised.
let's see if he can repeat that one and lead his team to victory. Stark back to Renekton. He really seems to favor the lane bully champions
He
here.
hasn't played it yet.
Yeah,
This is
not
the
this
first
season, but it's one of his staples, an all-time play, of course.
That
Storm.
is very true.
I'm super excited to see what Storm wants to go for. Another Rek'Sai game or more of the pathing jungler? He won. Oh, Azir is open this time around. That's something we didn't touch on, of course. Azir open, Parquet's favorite champ so far in play. It's his fourth game now on the Azir. They've won most of the games he was on. Only lost the second game, where, of course, they also had the big advantage, so they should have won this game as well. Very strong champion so far for EVOS, and they paired it most of the time with the Rek'Sai, so we expect the Rek'Sai to come in, maybe even as a ban for Flash.
Yeah, I mean, it makes some sense, and we do. The Azir was a staple for Parquet against Team Secret. Looked really, really good. Was the late game insurance. So very happy to see it. Also, if you are still behind, chat has a good suggestion. Turn your YouTube to 2x speed. It'll catch you up.
Well, I think I should be in time now.
Okay, good. And
There's
there
the
is the
Kai'Sa.
Kai'Sa.
Once again, I mean, Slade had a good performance in the
If it
last
ain't
game, so I
broke.
don't see. Indeed. So, Slider, Kai'Sa again. Varus is stronger in lane than Xayah, though, and should be able to dominate this one. As vulnerable to the hook, sadly, for the side of Divkid. Divkid this time around can't keep on holding onto his flash, facing off against CBL's hook. He has even lesser tools fewer tools, I should say, to avoid the CBL grabs. He only has his flash, basically, and maybe his support blocking some of those for him. So he needs to be on point, as we see some jungle-focused bans. Very different champion pools, of course. Sejuani, much more of a Swan champion. Skarner, of course, the Legion special. We see more jungle pinch. Will we see Rek'Sai pinched? Or does Flash actually want EVOS on Rek'Sai?
They potentially could. It's not hard to make the read that Sorn will go to the Rek'Sai, as Mordekaiser is the last ban. Just removing a little bit of Heroes champion pool doesn't make a lot of sense to me, as Mordekaiser is not a pick that can carry. If you're going to ban a hero champ, ban the Vlad.
Yeah, indeed. I really don't understand the Mordekaiser priority here. Of course, it's one of TH's most played champ and also one of his most successful champs, but he's much more famous for Vladimir, and he might just go back to that. Vladimir Azir is a very famous late game combo. You might be a little bit too heavy on AP damage then, especially with the Galio picked here. That's a lot of AP shields, so you might want to go towards Aatrox again. A little bit more AD damage from the top lane. Aatrox has a fine laning phase into Redacton, obviously falls behind a little bit, because Redacton wins every lane. But oh, this is a blast from the past. He has not gone back to J4 in a long, long time. Will he lock this in? Yes.
He was incredible on it. When he was playing.
That he was, yeah.
He was
early on the
fantastic.
season, there was he had 5 games on J4 and no games on other champs, and 5 wins on J4 and only losses on other champs. So it was definitely the specialty for Sorn. Still most played champ. I think if you add up the Rek'Sai games for the semifinal, he might be tied. They might be tied with J4, but still a little bit of a throwback to the very first series, which of course EVOS won over Flash. So it makes a lot of sense to throw it back to that one.
Absolutely. Speaking of throwbacks, Flash is pretty much just running last game back. They've had to change 2 picks because, of course, bans happened. They couldn't get the Set or the Skarner this time, but Renekton kind of does a similar thing to Set. And, I mean, the Rek'Sai is fairly different to Skarner, but overall, this is a bit of the run back. And EVOS has allowed them to do it. So they think they can do better with this new comp. EVOS's comp is fairly different, so maybe they have a good shot.
EVOS has so much CC. Every single champion on the side of EVOS has CC, and it's much harder for Kai'Sa to dive into Varus than it is for her to dive into Xayah, in my opinion. Varus has a lot of damage, especially because he always also goes for the same kind of build, very attack speed focused. So I think Varus can challenge Kai'Sa on the late game, especially if he finds the very good ultimate early on her. So this is harder to play for Slater. There's so much lockdown on the enemy team. Azir is also hard to kill with all the defensive tools. Sorn can initiate on Kai'Sa, and there's enough AD damage to cut through even the Galio protection. So I think EVOS has definitely read the composition and what they lost against in the last game well and adapted their composition. I like that TH is going Aatrox and not Vladimir, because I think Vladimir into Galio would have been too much magic damage, especially because Varus also one of these ADCs that deal a lot of magic damage. So yeah, I like both compositions. I think we are in for a very exciting game. Can Flash once again dominate the early game and run away with this game? Maybe pre-30-minute victory? Or is Parquet Azir the path to victory?
That will be the question, because of course, one of the big things is that it wasn't necessarily a comp issue from EVOS last time. It was very much just a play issue. Slater got ahead early, which meant that the dominoes began to fall. The chain reaction began very fast. And will it happen again? We certainly don't. We hope not, because we want to go to 5.
Yeah. So, and I think Flash's team composition is in danger of getting hard outscaled here. They have Galio, Renekton, Rek'Sai into Azir. All 3 champs are horrible into Azir in the late game. Azir shreds through all of them. Kai'Sa, okay, Kai'Sa can kind of threaten Azir with a solo kill. Azir, especially if he used his soldiers, the reposition of the soldiers early to attack the front line, does not have Q available to deal with Kai'Sa if she jumps behind him. So it's not the easiest jump. Yeah, he still has a wall, and also Varus to defend him. Kind of sounds weird to have Varus as a bodyguard for Azir, but it might just work like that. There's so much DPS on the side of EVOS, so I think Flash has to get ahead here. I think this is much more of a ticking time bomb for EVOS in terms of composition, and I'd say 25 minutes, Flash needs to have a solid lead, something like 5k at least, to close out this game, and Kai'Sa probably needs to have a solid item lead as well over Varus specifically. So if we look at an even game at 25 minutes, I believe EVOS's chances are very good at getting us to game 5.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. As I feel like time bomb comps are very good in the VCS against most of the field. As long as you can activate it once the fuse has burned down, don't want it to fizzle. And this is a fairly easy one to set off. Once they hit that point of Parquet getting that stab damage in, it's not too difficult, right? They pretty much just auto-win.
Yeah, the Comfort Flash definitely has a lot of early game tools, but it can also backfire very quickly. So imagine a scenario where they look for a dive, and maybe Azir arrives. Maybe Azir gets teleport, and Azir arrives. Maybe Varus is there already, and the fight gets turned around. You don't have any way of getting out of there. Galio can only go in. Rek'Sai can only go in. Renekton basically can only go in. So once they all committed for the dive, and you counterplay, they all die. And if that happens in this game, I think EVOS will probably come out on top. Zorn can also prolong the chase. TH can come in from the flank. So I would... With nameplates off, I'd say EVOS composition is superior.
I would agree.
With nameplates on, I think Flash definitely has the tools in their arsenal to dominate early game hard enough, especially after looking at the last game where they played basically the same composition, maybe a few better scaling options, especially in top and jungle, but almost the same, and they were very successful with it. So makes a lot of sense to run it back, but it's risky.
Yeah, absolutely. But of course, if you're going to take a risk, doing it when you still have your final safety net makes a fair bit of sense to me. Here we go. We hit the rift. Junglers have spotted each other. Other than that, everything is looking very, very normal.
And what do we want to focus on? I think Galio is once again super important. Last game, Parker had a great performance. Not Parker, Harty, of course, had a great performance. He is rookie of the split for us. We voted for him, and he was crowned the rookie of the split with a huge advantage. Very impressive rookie season. And can he carry his team to another victory? I think he was a very good facilitator in the last game. I think he needs to do a little bit more here. Maybe even start some of the plays, start some of the dives, even though dives are dangerous. Kind of still have to go for them, because if you just handshake lanes, the enemy team outscales.
Yeah, absolutely. Our top laners do have a little bit of a meeting up in that bush, but nothing will come of it, of course. Looking at the runes, it is all bog standard, except, I don't like this. DivKid's got Comet. I don't like that. I like the consistent DPS of the lethal tempo.
So to be fair, they have another lethal tempo carry, right? They have the only mage. Okay, Corki can go for it. They have one of the two mages that can actually go lethal tempo, and B, the consistent DPS auto attack threat, which is Azir, of course. So makes more sense. This Varus is even stronger in lane most of the time. Comet is a super solid lane choice. There we see the Comet land. If you go E, Comet will always land, because of course the slow enables the Comet to fly there. So I can see why they went for it. I'm not sure I like it. I think more DPS against this dive composition would have been nice as well. So we'll have to see. Might be just the laning choice to get even farther ahead in lane.
Potentially. Ooh, the flash W attempted there by Cardi, but it's a flash for flash in the mid lane. Yijin didn't use his, and Parquet does manage to dodge that first gank. Very, very aggressive stuff.
So this is a setup to use double flash for a kill. So the first gank around, they invested Cardi's flash. Next gank will be Yijin's flash. Can Parquet do anything about this? Next one will be very hard to avoid. Instead, EVOS now reinforcing.
Where are these boys going?
Yeah, they have full priority over bot lane, so they call the invade. A little bit too late on the blue buff, though. So Parquet, Yijin gets away and secures another jungle camp.
It will be the crab, pretty much guaranteed, at least. Oh, never mind. Yijin wants to make me a liar, but it is secured there by Zorn. And they will just walk away from each other, but it's a rumble in the bot lane. Scrap. And here we go. CBL taking so much, but a good flash over the wall. Hardy will be the first mid laner to arrive. Zorn will be the first one to go down. It's another first blood for Slater. And this is a very, very weird and wonderful start. As in the top lane, that's correct, as Hero's gotten the kill. Lantern out for Carty. He was getting trucked. And it's 1 for 1. at 4 minutes. VCS.
Here we go. I have absolutely no idea what happened in top lane. Hopefully, we get to see a replay. Aatrox solo killing Renekton early on without using flash. That is very unusual. So maybe a little bit of the rust finally coming in.
Here?
There we go. TH hits level 4 for level 3 advantage, and inside the minion wave, a lot of minion focus. Oh, the heal!
The heal from the passive.
That's super close.
Ooh,
So both. Okay, this could turn around the whole game. Slater double buff.
No, but the stop.
Wait, what?
It got interrupted by Stark. No, it was the Parquet teleport that got interrupted by Carty. He goes down for it, but I think that was a worthy sacrifice. That could have been 2 kills in the bot lane.
Yeah, kind of the best of the worst of a bad situation, because would have been a kill anyway, but they prevented more kills from happening in bot lane. Bot lane was in risk of giving up all the advantage, so all of the advantages, more than just one, with the double buff of Slater. But it still hurts to do this for Carty a lot, actually. You give up the solo kill over to Parquet. It's not even a solo kill, it's an assisted kill. So 450 gold over to EVOS. EVOS actually ahead now in gold. And accelerating the Azir, something Flash really doesn't want to do.
That's true. I still think it's the right call to make.
Yeah, I agree.
Because Slater matters more than Carty. That sounds harsh, but I think in this comp, your Galio, it's nice to have him ahead, but if I can have a Kai'Sa or a Galio, I'm taking that Kai'Sa 100% of the time.
Yeah, it was the choice of the lesser evil, which was giving up a 1 kill and not 2 or 3 potentially even. So definitely the right choice. Still hurts to do a lot as the mid laner, to just into the turret where you know you're almost 100% down, just to enable your team to not int in the bot lane. So Carty now has to deal with that, being on his scoreboard 0-1 and 0, no flash available. Parquet should have a very easy time clearing waves and just trading and trading.
Yeah,
maybe even pressuring Carty out of lane.
Potentially, the wave is sitting in a very comfortable position for Carty though, so at least he's safe from any potential gank. There are a lot of members of both teams hovering around the mid lane. Carty moves forward into that brush, should be spotted. I don't know if they know Yijin and CBL. Now they do. Sorn is getting CC'd, bounced up and down, and CBL will claim the kill. B is the next target, and it's even going to be an assist for the Kai'Sa from downtown. Flick the W in, and it's another 2 kills for Flash, and they are here to play, boys.
Yeah. And CBL once again dominating all of the fog of war plays. Nice grab on Sorn. Sorn would just immediately went down. I think Sorn even got interrupted in his EQ combo, or at least already through his E, so had no way whatsoever to escape. And once again, dominating early game for CBL. He on Thresh, he's looking like a different player compared to the first 2 games where he was kind of invisible together with Slater. So
absolutely,
a very good change for.
Very true. And now up in the top, Stark taking a little bit more damage, but he is not going to go down, has recovered from that early solo kill.
Yeah, and even if you go down as Renekton early on, 300 gold is not enough to change the matchup early on completely. As you can see, Sorn actually had his EQ available, it was just unlocked. So I liked a little bit, whatever. DivKid not able to do anything. He tried to get there. If you look at the map, he really desperately tried to get there and change the fight, but not quite in range.
Yep.
Well, now Flash off to another great advantage, but it's actually only 600 gold, so EVOS has an opportunity to turn this one around again. Flash available. Yeah, of course.
Well, we thought maybe the Comet would have just been for lane, but it has gone to lethality. And here is the CC being applied. They used a lot there, and TH just flashes away. Should still be the Rift Tower.
Yeah, I think if you could Comet Varus into then building a tech speed, you're inting. So this is very much to be expected. I think it's
still don't like the decision, right?
It's still a little bit of a curious choice. The power spike might be a little bit harder on 1-2 items. So if EVOS can make use of this and maybe bridge a little bit of the time the Azir needs to scale up with this very strong early itemization for DivKid, then can be valuable. Sepia Rift. So let's hope this gets resolved soon.
Yeah, we have been honestly pretty fortunate. We've had like two pauses or something. It's actually not bad considering online play. Doing pretty well. And ooh, what has happened to my OBS? Why don't I have scenes? This is interesting. Oh, there we go. They've swapped sides for some reason. There we go. Now we have our lovely
OBS doing OBS stuff.
Hopefully it's not a very long pause. They've been short so far. Probably just a little tech issue.
Yeah.
So,
Slater once again had it's this series is very exciting if you look at the bot lane, because Divkid dominated the first 2 games, and game 3 and 4 so far very Slater focused. So can Divkid of course lost the first game, even though he was so much better on the ADC position. So it's still is still in the position where the first game might come back to haunt them afterwards, because they should have won this one. Now down in game 4, it's back against the wall. It's do or die time for them. So
yeah,
can they find a way back into this game?
Well, they are dead even at the moment. Very, very slightly behind. And, Stark could be in some trouble, but here comes the Galio. Should get the knock-up. Can Stark get enough healing? I think he can. And Sorn is dead. Sorn has absolutely got the shaky hands. And this is one of the worst games we've ever seen him play. 0-3 here at 9.5 minutes. That is a disaster. Looks like Frodo does not have a Samwise to pull him up the mountain this time. And he might have fallen to the ring's temptation.
What was he thinking there? You can never get the kill against Galio. That was, oh man. Also, you hear Varys is sitting on one serrated Dirk. That's not good enough to cut through the already built up armor on the side of Stark. So, wow, that was just a very bad play.
Yeah.
And Sorn out of sorts in this game. He went back to his early season favorite champ, which was, of course, the J4. Has not played in weeks, and it's not looking too good. It's, well. This is now finally
it's definitely
for Flash.
One way to put it. Yeah, this Kai'Sa
2K.
Once again, looking very scary. Umbral Glaive is completed, so it's 1 item each. Lethality obviously spikes a bit harder early.
But Umbral Glaive is the cheapest and least powerful combat stat-wise lethality item, of course. So
yeah, but wards
it's the one item completion. Absolutely, yeah. It's a super strong utility item. I still stand by my earlier notion that this item is quite overpowered in pro play, but not in terms of damage. So Divkid, not in the strongest of positions. Not even able to one-shot backline CS, and he might
has
just
found
get
the
out.
Prey Seeker, but they're not going to go for it. No, there's the flash knock-up. The hook comes out.
There we
dropped
go.
to 200. We dropped to very low quality, but we still see the high-quality play out of Flash. Makes up for it. Oh, boy.
And CBL, once again, hitting the grab, securing the final, and putting the final nail in the coffin. That was built for Divkid there. Nicely done for Yijin. Yijin committed his flash for the kill, which, yeah, why not? You get more platings. This is Rek'Sai. Rek'Sai's flash. It's not really valuable if you don't go for early kills. So this is another one of those. Flash, 3k gold lead, 1 dragon up, looking very strong in game 4.
Absolutely. That is 3 tower plates going to Yijin and Slater. B and Sorn are edging in. They want to contest this, and they will force them back. Defend the rest of that turret as the Flash boys do back away. So how does EVOS get back into this one? Because it is looking very dire.
Well, we might need another hero performance out of TH, where he saved his... Oh, we have a big fight about the dragon. Sorn once again...
we do. Galio ult's coming in. There's the knock-up onto B. Sorn is so low. He's just going to die
Stark is T as well.
And Stark, yeah, he absolutely is. Divkid has been dove on, but all the big damage out of Parquet. It's not quite enough, though. And everyone from EVOS is melting away. Only Yijin goes down for Flash. And it looks like EVOS might be gone in a flash. They're getting rocked in this early game.
We're on pace for 1k gold lead added per minute for Flash. They are just getting farther and farther ahead. This is This is honestly a big stomp in the early game. We're 8-3 in kills only, but 2 dragons and 4k gold lead at 13 minutes. The players are still here, and Slater might just get another 1 or 2 of those.
He can take this tower, I think.
Another 1k gold lead waiting for them. Okay, we are moving fast in this replay.
Whoa, Yulwei, break it down, come on.
No time for that, apparently.
What was the point?
I have no idea.
What is the point of that replay if you're going to play it at 1,000,000 miles an hour, guys?
Okay, now we know what happened.
Did you catch it, guys?
Well, Parker had a great play, and Parker is 2-0 now. So his inting jungler might have to be bailed out by the very strong mid lane performance once again. He's not strong enough to win this game alone right now, though. He needs more time, he needs more items, and Flash is not very likely to give him this time. But maybe, just maybe, he can be the saving grace.
Yeah, we said that this EVOS comp was a bit of a ticking time bomb, but it looks like Flash might be tying more and more string on to that fuse, because you said 25 minutes. We might be going a little bit later than that if EVOS wants to win.
Yeah, absolutely. And 5k gold lead at 25 minutes looks very likely right now, because it's already a 5k gold lead at 14 minutes.
Yeah, I think they're looking pretty good on that front. Carty a little bit caught out, but a dash and a proto belt gets him out of there. They can't even find the kill on the Galio. EVOS really can't get anything going at the moment.
And imagine if Flash goes on to win the finals against Gum with Stark in the top lane.
If this is 2 years in a row where Yoshino is like the split winner without playing in playoffs, I'm done.
Oh.
I'm moving to LJL.
Oh man. That would be so sad to see. Let's hope Yoshino gets some play in the finals. It's not looking likely today.
No.
He might have another week where he sits on the bench and just observes his team winning against EVOS in very dominant fashion. The throwback to Slater carry comms has worked, and that's a big surprise to me, because in the first 2 games he looked lost, he looked bad, he looked outclassed by Diffkid.
Stark going aggressive, walks in 1v3, has to flash an ult. A little bit too aggressive there, but he doesn't get punished too hard as he does get out of there. The Rift Herald is secured by Yijin, and it all keeps getting worse here for EVOS.
So, more items. We need more items for EVOS. Diffkid is working on very cheap itemization, of course. So Serrated Dirk comes in. The good thing about this item path or build path for Diffkid is every single item spikes. So Serrated Dirk is a very nice item to have. It actually is, in terms of, if you look at the stats, it actually kind of behaves like a completed item, because it gets AD and the passive, which is, of course, the lethality as well. While TH might just die
is just getting chopped. Yeah, no, I think Stark will turn around. Doesn't want to go under tower against an ulting Aatrox. Can't blame him for that, considering he doesn't have the dominance.
So this is way better compared to the last game where he had to build his Infinity Edge. And if you're just sitting on components for Infinity Edge, it's way worse than if you're just sitting on components for, let's say, Ghost Blade or Dusk Blade, right? So at least he spikes with every single item completion. Does he spike hard enough? It doesn't really look that way right now. Look at the other side. Slater, 2 completed items. Once again, he's working very quickly towards another AD itemization, probably. That said, he might actually go AP in this game. He has more AD tools in his whole team composition, so he might actually go for the strongest possible 3-item power spike, Nash's Tooth, as opposed to the last game where he went for Runans.
Yeah, I wouldn't hate the AP. I think it's a very cool build. Wouldn't mind seeing it at all. As there is the push in the bot lane, and the stream really wants to dwell on it for a moment, but we're keeping on trucking. And see, my big problem with this lethality Varus is I don't think his poke matters.
Yeah, especially now with Mountain Drake.
Yeah.
Oh god, this is the worst possible soul for EVOS to face. I guess Ocean Soul is always worse, but yeah, this poke will just not stick at all against Mountain Soul. So
They
Oh,
haven't got the soul
CBL
yet.
might gift away a little bit of gold. So I'm really
yeah.
desperate to get this.
CBL is very, very caught, and the teleport comes in, he flashes, puts up the box, he's somehow still alive, he finally goes down, and there's the big taunts out of Carty. This is a re-engage, Yijin takes a lot of damage, but he goes underground, goes in for the bite, the flash away, and all of EVOS is somehow still alive. Parquet gets taunted up, surely he goes down, and he does.
Slater's here.
And this is Slater arriving. Can they land any CC so he can dive forward? And there it is, and he flies into the back line, hits the artillery, and the Bomberman is here. 4 members of EVOS have gone to their graves. Only TH survived. And I think we might be... Oh, never mind. The fight never ends here in the VCS as TH tries to make that hero play, but Slater says, I am inevitable. Oh, Slater, that was bad. Oh, dear. Try to big you up, Slater. Come on.
He does not need his flash for the rest of this game, so fair enough. Just flash away from the danger there of getting turned on by a super strong Aatrox. But this is probably now just a victory lap for Flash. They have secured this game. If they stumble and fall over in the victory lap, I mean, anything can happen, right? And EVOS might come back into the game, but this is all but over. It's very, very close to being secured for Flash.
Yeah,
they are one dragon away.
I completely agree. And here is... This was a very... Look how long CBL lives.
Why does someone re-engage with ult here? I guess they need the damage to kill CBL, but it has to be clear that this is too much of an investment to get the support. Very early to Emperor's Divide as well. Emperor's Divide would have been handy here in this situation. Yeah. Sadly, it's already gone. And Parker is dead. Parker was the strongest member, so now there's absolutely no consistent DPS outside of TH, and he has to kite away. So someone misses the EQ as well. That is... icing on the cake of the bad place. Oh, man.
It was a bit of a shocker. And I think EVOS might have lit the beacons. And I don't think the Riders of Rohan will be arriving in time. Gondor may die alone today.
Yeah.
A shame. We do live in the timeline, apparently, where Mordor wins. The Orcs?
In the timeline where Mordor does not end, like in the actual series.
Yeah. I maintain Orcs did nothing wrong. It wasn't their fault. If you read the books, the Orcs have had it rough. They're just deformed elves.
Yeah, it's quite a rough life.
Not their fault.
I think it was actually the bad Valars who formed them into Orcs, right? The Melkor and stuff.
Yeah, Melkor. Oh, let's not go deep into Lord of the Rings lore. Let's not deep dive Lord of the Rings lore, because I could go for a really long time. I love it.
Have you read the Silmarillion as well?
I have. It's a hard read.
Yeah, indeed.
You're talking to
Only
someone
made it to page 100.
You're talking to someone who reads political theory for fun, so I can get through the Silmarillion. It's still a struggle. The Silmarillion is not much of a book.
No. Well, here we are, 21 minutes in, and let's talk a little bit about Flash and their chances in the final.
Never mind. We're not going to be talking about much, as Stark will be taking down the Aatrox. He sliced, he diced, he gets the kill, and we come back, and it's the mid lane fight. EVOS is going for the last chance saloon. They started off with the shutdown. They've actually got 2 here, but Stark has now arrived. Slater has to charge in, and he does. Can he pop off here? That's 1. That's 2.
He absolutely
that's 3.
can.
And can he get the 4? He can he? And there it is, the quadra kill sold to Mr. Slater for 4.
Well, now we can blame Mr. Top Laner that he actually got the solo kill in the bot lane. Yep. Once again, no pentakill for Slater. Had 2 big opportunities in the last 2 games. This time around, at least a quadra kill. So that's nice. Maybe he gets another chance, because he was not that. I mean, they're dead in the water, but not quite locked out of this game.
Yeah. They haven't quite drowned yet. But,
yeah.
I think the rip has pulled them out very far.
Well, I wanted to almost call this the famous EVOS from behind team fight. They randomly win the team fight from very far down. Not quite to be. Slater.
It should have been, but Slater.
Yeah, almost. Slater was still full HP and had all the tools still available. And there we go. The engage starts on card. Oh, this is a new engage. Is this a replay or?
No, this is a replay. This is the engage. We didn't see this bit. And then, yeah, this is where we came back. And then they go
So
forward.
look at Slater. Slater
Stark
can't
just
get
lands the
past the wall.
CC and charges
And
forward.
there we go. He just dives into 4 members, no fear whatsoever, and rightfully so. He's still full HP.
Absolutely.
And gets the last kill with the red buff burn. Baron is still alive. I would have guessed Flash takes Baron.
TH isn't going to be still alive, though, as he goes down to the W of Slater. Too easy. Aatrox is gone. Mountain Soul is about to be secured. And I think we might be getting the matchup we all expected, Flash versus Garm, in the final.
Oh, yeah. And even though EVS put up a very good fight today,
Absolutely.
especially in the first 2 games, I think this is the deserved the team that deserves to challenge GAM. They were the only team to take down GAM in this regular season. They were the only team to prevent the perfect split for GAM. So can they challenge them? It's a 3-3 in terms of game score between the 2 teams. The only even team in the league. They have a new top laner, apparently. The new old top laner, a very old man, coming in to save the life of Flash. And
again, poor Yoshino, as Baron is getting absolutely melted.
TH,
here. EVOS,
can he end once again?
They want to go for the last chance. Hook on Cardi, sword flashes forward, cannot steal it, and that's one.
Slater one, Slater one.
Here's the chance once
Slater
again.
2.
That's 2. Can I see 3? I want to see 3, and no, it's stolen away once again. It wasn't going to be the penta. It was only 2.
Kid, why did you flash out? What the?
It was only 2 anyway.
Where's the sad B emote?
And Div Kid, I don't know where you're going, man. He's just, okay. He got the execute. Woo! You saved a little bit of gold, but your team lost. It doesn't matter very much.
24-minute victory stomp. Holy moly. We talked about 25 minutes, and it was having to be less than 5k gold down in 25 minutes. Guess what? The game ends before the 25-minute mark actually gets hit. So
yep, 25.
There we go.
Pretty
Flash,
much bang on.
yeah, Flash playing true to their composition. They picked a very early game focused comp with Slater, please carry us, written all over it. And it worked. It worked wonders.
Oh, yeah.
This was a very impressive last 2 games where they deviated from their early drafts and found a new identity. And EVOS was not prepared to deal with the second identity. This is best of 5s. So EVOS looked super competitive in the first 2 games. Actually looked like the better team, in my opinion.
I agree.
Stomped them twice with early game leads. And then suddenly, this is what good teams are about. They can kick up to another gear. They can find a new identity in between, in one series, in between games. And suddenly, a new strategy comes out, and the enemy team is left wanting. They have no idea how to react. Flash wins 3-1 and will challenge GAM in just about a week.
Absolutely. And if we want to, we were using a lot of Lord of the Rings analogies, but truly, we called Yijin the Dark Lord of Mordor, but really, the true roaming Eye of Sauron is waiting in that final. It is Mr. Dia1, and Flash has to figure out how to deal with him looking forward. But we, of course, have to think about a series MVP.
And the love for Stark is very, very deep. Goes very deep on the Vietnamese broadcast.
Yeah, no,
for some reason, he got serious MVP.
He wasn't serious MVP. Not even close. Sure.
Okay,
VETV, you do that. I'm gonna go ahead and say Plato. No,
it's
I don't know if his first 2 games were
hard.
good enough.
Yeah, you got stomped in the first 2 games. I think it's between
CBL,
jungle and
CBL.
support.
I want to give it to CBL. He was sick every game.
The problem with CBL is the first 2 games of CBL were bad as well. So
yeah, but
if you kind of disqualify, disqualify Slater for his first 2 games, he kind of has to disqualify the support as well.
Just pick one.
I think Yijin stole the important dragon, right?
Yeah.
In game 2 to
That's
bring
true.
this TS back. And
all right,
it's super close. It's super close.
I'm happy to do it because Yijin is underappreciated by this goddamn community, and I will keep praising him until you all believe me because he's good. So we're gonna lock in Yijin, I think. So
a shout out to the bot lane as well. I think the last 2 games were definitely bot lane MVP. For me, the first 2 were too rough to really warrant a serious MVP. Though that said, in the end, they won the last 2 games. So I guess there could be a case made. I like to value consistency, and I think the most consistent member today for Flash was Yijin. So, yeah, I think
Maybe the league game was
Yijin
bad.
deserves this one. That's true.
But
But everyone
it's
had
okay.
at least one bad game.
It's true.
Kati also has to be shouted out. I think he was, maybe he even was the most consistent, but maybe not the carry of the team. So a lot of good performances, and Flash looking solid today. I wouldn't say
Absolutely.
great. I don't think they look great,
Well-
but they look very solid and like the better team.
Well, we will have plenty of time to talk about Flash as they will be going up against the Kings of Vietnam in GUM in a week's time. There'll be lots of content coming out of this community. If you are interested, join our Discord. It's below the stream. There's also the new Twitch channel that is more for non-direct game stuff at twitch.tv/everyway. Come look over that. We'll probably be doing a podcast, all that good stuff.
For sure.
Heaps of content will be coming out in the lead up to the end of the VCS 2020 spring split. I can't believe we're already there, but we'll see you guys in a week.
Yeah. Not on Saturday, actually.
Well,
So
not
please
6
don't miss
days.
the final.
6 days.
please don't wait for Sunday and then be surprised that the game is already done. So come back at Saturday. Don't miss it. This will be the finals. I think we are the first regional league to play finals. So
up
this
there.
is super exciting. Let's
Absolutely.
see. I think this final will deliver. This will not be a 3-0 in my opinion, and we'll get to see very, very exciting stuff next week.
See you
Stay
guys
tuned.
then. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We always love having you here.